Chapter 159. When he stood at the entrance of the cave, the flames seemed to have been summoned and rushed into his body. Master, Xing Shanhu is dead. Hanks looked at Lin Zhenyu in awe and admiration. He wanted nothing more than to kneel on the ground and worship him. In the world of martial artists, the strong are dragons and the weak are ants. Death is death. What's so strange about it? Lin Zhenyu clasped his hands behind his back. His red robe fluttered in the scorching hot volcanic wind. His face was indifferent, as if the death of a disciple did not affect him in the slightest. Xing Shanhu was just a disciple he had casually taught. He had at least 80 disciples like him in the Big Circle gang, if not 100. If he were to burn with anxiety over the death of a random disciple, he would have to seek revenge. How would he have the time to pursue the supreme path of martial arts? What he wanted was to surpass the realm of Grandmaster. He wanted to reach the pinnacle of martial arts and become an immortal. Nothing else mattered. In the past, he practiced the Kun Peng's 6 transformation technique and was invincible in Huaxia. However, Yi Zhantian defeated him because his qi was not strong enough. Later, he read ancient books and learned secret techniques. He met experts and learned from them. Finally, he came up with the idea of refining lava and fire poison for his own use. From then on, he lived alone on the Demon Island. He ate sea fish when he was hungry, drank mountain spring water when he was thirsty, and sat on the volcanic rock to absorb the fire poison. He sat there for 20 years. In these 20 years, he endured pain and suffering, loneliness and loneliness. It was unimaginable to the average person. However, his strength had also undergone a qualitative transformation. Master, your old friend Wei Shuofeng was also killed. Hanks hesitated for a moment before he spoke with difficulty. The one who did it was this young man called Kang Taechu. He is only 20 years old, oh. Only 20 years old and he can kill Wei Shuofeng who has reached the peak of ethereal enlightenment. Is he a dual cultivator? I didn't expect such a genius to appear on the mainland. For the first time, Lin Zhenyu's face showed surprise. He seemed to be interested. Moreover, he should be a dual cultivator of magic and martial arts. Hanks reported, in addition, he also killed Hong Tianzhao, the leader of Yi province. It is said that he also took the Five Thunders Jade Talisman head-on and defeated Zhuo Zimu, the head of Shinong School, and recruited him as his subordinate. Who is he? Is he a member of the Long Formation? Was he Yi Zhantian's disciple? Or are they some secluded sects traveling in the world? Lin Zhenyu was surprised. He guessed a few possibilities and finally found a suitable explanation. He nodded and said, yes, he must be a member of a hidden sect in the world. It's not strange for those secluded sects to produce a transcendent stage expert with hundreds of years of accumulation of medicinal pills. I don't know which sect he's from. He seems to have been living in the secular world all this time, and he's been acting crazy and silly. Hanks lowered his head in fear. Fine. Lin Zhenyu didn't take it to heart. He sighed and said, anyway, Shuofeng is my little brother, and who is my disciple? Coincidentally, the Martial Arts Alliance conference in Huaxia will be held in a month's time. I'll go to Huaxia and kill that Kang Taechu to pay tribute to their souls in heaven. Master, Yi Zhantian has come out of his seclusion. If you encounter him. Hank said nervously. After Lin Zhenyu lost to Yi Zhantian, he swore that he would not set foot in the Central Plains for the rest of his life. Now that Yi Zhantian had come out of his seclusion, if the two of them encountered each other, it would be an earth-shattering battle. Hee, so what? Lin Zhenyu's eyes were full of disdain. He smiled arrogantly and said, now my Kun Peng's 6 transformation has been mixed with the power of fire poison. I can even kill a half-step immortal state warrior. His voice was like rolling thunder, shaking the 9 directions and 10 lands, causing the entire island to tremble incessantly. The volcanic ash fluttered like snow. As he spoke, he waved his right hand and shouted, fire, come. Suddenly, his body was like a furnace of all things. His fingers were like high-pressure guns, shooting out a 20-meter-long flame that seemed to burn the blue sky. Lin Zhenyu smiled proudly and withdrew the flame as if it had never appeared. My raging flames can't be extinguished by water, can't be extinguished by wind. They can burn the heavens and boil the seas. Today, I, Lin Zhenyu, will enter the central plains with fire. I will kill Kang Teichu, Yi Zhantian, and make all the heroes of the central plains submit to me. The next moment, he shook his arms and jumped to the surface of the sea like an eagle. He trod on the water and ran away. Seeing this, Hanks's face was full of reverence. He could not control the excitement in his heart. He knelt on the ground and prayed loudly, "Master, may you conquer the martial arts world of the Central Plains and achieve 1,000 years of hegemony." Soon, Jiang Tian returned to Lin Zhou and continued to cultivate and improve in the Five Elements Gathering Formation. The Five Elements Gathering Formation had a wide range of radiation. It could attract spiritual energy from Lion Peak and Xiao Lake for more than 10 miles. It felt inexhaustible. Even if it was more difficult to break through as his cultivation increased, it could at least help Jiang Tian break through 1 or 2 more times. On this day, Jiang Tian was cultivating. Suddenly, Ghost Kick walked in and whispered, "Master Kong, Miss Lu Yiting is here to visit." "Oh, why is she here? Let her in." A gentle smile appeared on Jiang Tian's face. Jiang Tian was a quiet person. He did not like to interact with people of the world. It felt like watching ants fight. However, he had a good impression of Lu Yiting. After all, she had helped him selflessly in his previous life. I haven't seen him for half a year. How did he become so handsome? Did he go for plastic surgery? A moment later, Lu Yiting walked in. The moment she saw Jiang Tian, she was stunned and stood there in a daze. At this time, Jiang Tian had slender eyebrows. His eyes flashed like stars. Dressed in white, he looked like an immortal who had descended to the world. Lu Yiting was tall and slender. Her features were picturesque and she had a good appearance. However, when she saw Jiang Tian, she felt ashamed of her inferiority. Her heart was beating like a drum and she could not speak. "Old class monitor, why are you looking for me?" Jiang Tian gestured for her to sit down on the sofa. Shen Mange served tea. Jiang Tian sat down opposite her and asked with a faint smile. At this time, Lu Yiting was dressed like a strong woman. A diamond necklace hung around her neck. It reflected a dazzling luster and set off her beautiful face. The small suit at the waist complemented her slender waist. The tight trousers made her long legs look even more slender and straight. Her exposed ankles were soft and boneless. "Jiang Tian, it's like this. With the magical effect of your beauty cream, my beauty salon is doing well. Now, I have opened 5 branches in Linzhou, Donghai, and Jiangzhou. I'm here today to thank you. I want to give you 50% of the beauty salon's shares." Lu Yiting held the tea, but she could not hide the shock in her heart. Looks like Jiang Tian is truly extraordinary. He was living in King Villa No. 1. Even his maids were so beautiful and had an extraordinary temperament. "Yiting, this is what I should do. You don't have to be so polite. It's not easy for you to earn money. Keep it for yourself." Jiang Tian took a sip of tea and smiled faintly. He did not take it to heart. His prescription was like the sand of the Ganges. It was inexhaustible. The beauty cream was insignificant. "Jiang Tian, you don't want the shares. How can I accept it?" Lu Yiting did not expect Jiang Tian to refuse. She was stunned. But seeing that Jiang Tian was living in King Villa No. 1, she thought that he probably did not care about the tens of millions of shares. So, she did not insist. "Yiting, I'm afraid you have something to tell me. We're old classmates. You don't have to be so polite." Jiang Tian smiled gently. This smile made Lu Yiting feel a sense of closeness. She was deeply moved. She immediately told him the truth and said with a smile, "Now that the beauty salon has expanded, I want to find a spokesperson. It just so happens that the big star Li Huiyan is holding a concert in Linzhou. I want to meet her and ask her to be my spokesperson. I've contacted her agent, but she ignored me. After all, the scale of my beauty salon is still not enough to enter the eyes of such a big star, right?" Li Huiyan. Jiang Tian was slightly stunned. There was a complicated expression on his face. In his previous life, when the Medicine King group was still at its peak, Zhang Wanqing was still in charge of the group. Jiang Tian was still the young master of the Medicine King group. Li Huiyan was a small star who had just debuted and was born in Jinling. She was the spokesperson for 2 products of the Medicine King group. Perhaps because Li Huiyan was too lonely, and she was Jiang Tian's high school classmate, she had an affair with Jiang Tian after getting drunk at a celebration party. However, before the two of them could develop further, the Jiang family suffered a great change. The company went bankrupt and the Jiang family fell apart. Jiang Tian did not have time to play any ambiguous games with her. However, according to Jiang Tian's memory in his previous life, Li Huiyan's ending was also very tragic. She seemed to have been suppressed by the top sister in her company and was frozen by the company. She suffered from severe depression. On Christmas Day of 2011, she jumped from the roof of the Hilton Hotel and died. When he heard the news, Jiang Tian also sighed. He felt that they were in the same boat. Back then, the hero was young and the beauty was like a flower. The two of them were so high-spirited. However, in the end, one of them was poor and the other committed suicide due to depression. Yeah, don't you know Zhou Zhenghao? He's the local bully. I guess Li Huiyan will give you some face. Lu Yiting smiled. Okay, I'll go with you to see her. Jiang Tian suddenly remembered that when Li Huiyan was the spokesperson for the Jiang family, the endorsement fee was very small. It was all because of Jiang Tian's face. This made Jiang Tian somewhat grateful to her. In this life, Jiang Tian was loyal to Zhao Xueqing. Naturally, he would not have an affair with Li Huiyan. However, Jiang Tian was grateful to her for taking care of him in his previous life. Moreover, as a friend, he should at least help her out of this predicament. Besides, this was also a small favor for Lu Yiting. I bought the concert tickets. Let's go backstage and find her. Lu Yiting smiled. It was already evening. Jiang Tian reported to Zhao Xueqing and went out with Lu Yiting. Seeing this, Lu Yiting sighed in her heart. Jiang Tian was too good to his wife. It seemed like she had no hope at all. As the night fell, the lights were lit. The Linzhou Convention and Exhibition Center was brightly lit. There were people weaving in and out, and it was very lively. Li Huiyan had been doing well in the past 2 years. She had a lot of fans. Her first concert in Linzhou was also very popular. The parking lot in front of the Convention and Exhibition Center was full of cars. There were many spectators. When they arrived at the plaza, there were also many scalpers selling tickets. The ticket prices were already 3 times the original price. There were also hawkers selling light sticks and so on. At this time, Li Huiyan is still very popular. Who would have thought that her flower-like life would end in a few years? Life is really unpredictable. Seeing this, Jiang Tian could not help but sigh. Chapter 160. After checking their tickets, Jiang Tian and Lu Yiting entered the concert venue together. Their seats were very good, in the first row. Soon, the concert began. Li Huiyan walked onto the stage and immediately caused a wave of crazy cheers from the fans. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming to my concert. She was wearing a blue long dress. Her makeup was exquisite, her eyebrows were picturesque, and her figure was tall and slender. Every frown and smile was extremely moving. Thank you, old friends, for coming to see me. I'm very moved. Thank you. After singing 3 songs and receiving a lot of applause and flowers, Li Huiyan suddenly noticed Jiang Tian in the front row. She was stunned, then smiled sweetly and blew a kiss to Jiang Tian. "Oh my God, Sister Yan Yan kissed me." "Not you, she kissed me. She kissed me. Sister Yan Yan, we love you to death." The fans and audience didn't know that these words were directed at Jiang Tian. Immediately, there was a burst of cheers. Many little fangirls and fans were so excited that they almost fainted. In response, Jiang Tian only smiled faintly. His eyes were as calm as an ancient well. The past was like the wind. In his previous life, Jiang Tian was a playboy and had many female companions. However, he felt that he owed Xiao Shueqing the most. In this life, he came back and naturally treated her wholeheartedly. He didn't care about other ambiguous relationships. "You know Li Huiyan?" Lu Yiting felt a little strange and asked with a frown. "Yes." Jiang Tian nodded faintly. "That's good. With you here, it's easier to talk." Lu Yiting was overjoyed. "By the way, which management company is Li Huiyan from?" Jiang Tian turned to Lu Yiting and asked. "Oh, she's from Yang Cheng's Tianga Entertainment. Her boss is Bai Choufei." Lu Yiting said softly. "Oh, so she's his artist." Jiang Tian smiled faintly and nodded. That was simple. He just had to talk to Hong Ye and everything would be solved. "You know him? Can you ask him for help?" Lu Yiting was excited when she saw this. Even though she had accumulated tens of millions of assets, she was still far from Jiang Tian's level. She had no idea that Jiang Tian had already dominated Jiangbei and Lingnan. Don't worry, it shouldn't be a problem." Jiang Tian smiled faintly and said softly. In the eyes of the audience, the concert was very exciting. It was simply one climax after another. But in Jiang Tian's opinion, Li Huiyan's singing was good, but the music arrangements were ordinary. But now that she was at the peak of her career, she couldn't resist the fanatical love of her fans. 2 hours later, the concert finally came to an end. "Don't squeeze in." Miss Li had already gone to the hotel. "Go to the hotel and wait." After the concert ended, many fans immediately rushed backstage, but they were stopped by a group of tall bodyguards. "Ah, to the hotel? Then let's go quickly." The fans immediately dispersed. "Jiang Tian, I don't even know which hotel she's staying at. Let's hurry up and follow her." Lu Yiting also panicked and pulled Jiang Tian, wanting to leave. "Liar. She's still backstage." Nowadays, celebrities are all cunning rabbits with 3 burrows. Jiang Tian laughed. His divine sense had already seen through everything. How could those bodyguards deceive him? Jiang Tian was about to get up and go backstage when suddenly, a girl in the crowd waved her hand and said, "Brother-in-law, you're here too. You also came to watch Li Huiyan's concert." Jiang Tian smiled and patted Zhao Qianru's head. "Yeah, brother-in-law, didn't I want to give you the tickets before, but you said you didn't have time?" "But how do you have time now?" "Brother-in-law, who is she?" Zhao Qianru hugged Jiang Tian's arm and looked at Lu Yiting vigilantly. She deliberately called out the word brother-in-law very loudly to announce that Jiang Tian was taken. The current brother-in-law was no longer the same as before. He was the #1 figure in Lingnan. Who knew how many women were thinking about him? Recently, Lu Biao had been very close to him, wanting to get close to brother-in-law. However, how could he not see through her thoughts and guard against her to the death? "I'm afraid this woman is the same as Lu Biao. But, with me here, you can forget about succeeding. My university classmate came here to discuss business with Li Huiyan." Jiang Tian laughed. "Oh, so that's how it is." Zhao Qianru suddenly reacted and said with a face full of surprise, "Can you see Li Huiyan? I'm her loyal fan. Take me there, take me there. I want an autograph, I want a photo. Your brother-in-law and Li Huiyan's boss know each other." Lu Yiting interrupted. Oh my god, that's great. I'm so excited. To be able to meet Li Huiyan, just thinking about it makes me excited. It's too unbelievable. Zhao Qianru's eyes shone with stars as she was extremely excited. Jiang Tian was too lazy to say anything as he brought the two girls backstage. When they reached the side door of the backstage, a few bodyguards stretched out their arms and blocked their path. They frowned and scolded, "What are you doing? Get out, didn't I say that Miss Li has already gone to the hotel? Oh, please tell Miss Li that Jiang Tian is looking for her. We are old friends." Jiang Tian said indifferently. The bodyguards looked at each other suspiciously, but they still went in to inform him. After a while, a female manager walked out. This female manager was wearing a professional suit. Her figure was exquisite, her lips were fiery red, and her long hair was tied into a capable ponytail. She was also very beautiful, but her wrinkles were a little deep, giving people a sense of harshness and coldness. When she saw Jiang Tian, she was slightly stunned. Then, she pretended to sneer and said, "Just now, when Huiyan was changing backstage, she said that an old classmate also came to watch the concert. I was wondering who it was, so it's you, Jiang Tian." Jiang Tian also recognized this female manager. She was also their high school classmate, Li Huiyan's best friend, Guo Mengjia. He remembered that she and Li Huiyan went to the same music academy. She was also quite beautiful, but her singing was too bad. The company helped her create an album, but the sales were bleak, causing the company to lose a lot of money. Originally, her contract was going to be cancelled, but Li Huiyan cared about their old friendship and took her by her side as her assistant and manager. But at this moment, facing Jiang Tian, she was high and mighty. Her face was filled with arrogance, and she didn't mince her words, as if she was a hot celebrity. "Yeah, long time no see." Jiang Tian couldn't be bothered with her disdain and cold eyes. "Can we go in?" Zhao Qianru asked impatiently as she poked her head out from backstage. "Let me say a few words before you go in." Guo Mengjia rolled her eyes at Zhao Qianru with disdain. "Oh, we can see her. Hooray!" Zhao Qianru and Lu Yiting cheered together. "Sure. Lower your voice, don't disturb Miss Li's rest." Guo Mengjia shushed them with displeasure on her face. "I heard that you can't survive in Jinling, so you came to Linzhou to be a son-in-law." Guo Mengjia looked at Jiang Tian with disdain and sneered, "Moreover, your family's Medicine King group is also on the verge of collapse. You're no longer the domineering young master of the Jiang family who could summon the wind and summon the rain. To tell you the truth, in my eyes, you're just like a beggar now. Originally, you and Li Huiyan were no longer people of the same world, but Li Huiyan cared about old times and insisted on seeing you, so I didn't stop her. But you have to understand your position, don't stay too long. Don't even think about a toad lusting after a swan's meat. Miss Guo, you're thinking too much. I'm here to talk business." Jiang Tian frowned and walked in. Guo Mengjia didn't believe him at all, and said with annoyance, "Miss Li has been singing for more than 2 hours, and she's very tired. Lower your voice, and ask a few simple questions later. Don't pester her for a photo and an autograph, okay?" She completely treated Jiang Tian and the rest as Li Huiyan's fanatical fans. When Jiang Tian brought the two girls backstage, he saw Li Huiyan sitting with her back facing the door, removing her makeup. "Jiang Tian, you're here." Hearing the sound of footsteps, Li Huiyan turned around abruptly. Her beautiful eyes rippled, and an extremely complicated expression appeared on her face. Then, she quickly walked forward and hugged Jiang Tian's waist. "Huiyan, you're getting more and more beautiful." Jiang Tian discreetly sent her away, pulled a chair over, and sat down. He smiled faintly and casually praised her. At this time, Li Huiyan had changed into casual clothes. She wore a white short-sleeved cotton t-shirt, revealing her exquisite collarbone, high breasts, slender waist, and amazing flexibility. Under the denim hot pants, a pair of straight and slender legs were exposed. Perhaps it was because she had been singing and dancing just now, but there were still sparkling and translucent sweat on them. Under the illumination of the fluorescent lights, they looked even more snowy and translucent, making people unable to resist the urge to touch them. Under the thin slanted fringe, her forehead was bright and clean. Her small face, without any makeup, had soft lines, gentle and moving. Her pair of phoenix eyes had a hint of craftiness and quick-wittedness, making her a bit more seductive. Li Huiyan was very beautiful, and she had once had a one-night stand with Jiang Tian. However, after returning from his 10,000 years of cultivation, Jiang Tian's state of mind had long been as tranquil as a lake in autumn. When he saw her, he just greeted her and casually praised her. "Jiang Tian, how are you doing?" Li Huiyan's eyes were a bit moist as she asked in a trembling voice. "I'm already married, so I'm doing well." Jiang Tian suddenly felt a cold aura on her body. He swept his divine sense over her and couldn't help but be slightly taken aback. "You're already married? She must be very beautiful and gentle, right?" Li Huiyan's eyes were bleak as she forced a smile. There was a bit of disappointment in her voice. Some feelings were always difficult to talk about. In fact, Li Huiyan had liked Jiang Tian since high school. At that time, she was beautiful, good at singing and dancing, and was known as the campus belle. There were many boys who pursued her in school, and they couldn't bear the harassment. However, Jiang Tian beat them away one by one. He was very respectful to Li Huiyan and never touched her. He didn't even say a few words to her. At that time, in the lonely and helpless Li Huiyan's little heart, Jiang Tian was like a flower guardian, protecting her under his broad wings and preventing her from being harassed and hurt. In fact, at that time, Jiang Tian beat her pursuers just to pretend to be arrogant. He was also a devil incarnate. He skipped classes and fell in love early. He played all night in internet cafes. He was not outstanding at all. However, a girl's feelings were always poetic. When she was young, there were always some inexplicable feelings that unknowingly took root and sprouted when she looked back, brushed shoulders, and crossed eyes. They grew crazily until the roots of love were deeply planted and unforgettable. Chapter 161. A few years later, she graduated from university and entered the entertainment industry. When she met Jiang Tian again, she was already somewhat famous, and Jiang Tian was also the young master of the Medicine King Corporation. During that banquet, she pretended to be drunk and slept with Jiang Tian. But in fact, she was very willing. After that night, she couldn't forget about Jiang Tian. But later on, she heard that Jiang Tian had caused a huge disaster and had left Jinling. She couldn't find Jiang Tian, so she could only give up on that thought. Now that they met again, Jiang Tian already had a lover and a family. This made her feel even more conflicted and her heart was in turmoil. The furthest distance in life is when I'm right in front of you, just a step away, but I'll never be able to say those 3 words. Yeah, she's great. I'm also very happy. Jiang Tian's face was filled with gentleness as he faintly said. When Guomengjia saw Li Huiyan's attitude, she knew that Li Huiyan had not forgotten her old feelings. She was so anxious that she stomped her feet. Zhao Qianru felt that there was something wrong with Li Huiyan's expression. She was hugging her brother-in-law earlier, so there was clearly something going on. She rolled her eyes and immediately interrupted, "I'm Jiang Tian's sister-in-law. Miss Li, can I take a picture with you? Can I get an autograph?" Of course. Only then did Li Huiyan notice Zhao Qianru's existence and smiled. "You're already so beautiful, so your sister must be pretty as well." "Jiang Tian, you're very lucky. I already said that I don't want a picture or an autograph. Don't you know the rules?" "Miss Li is very tired." Guomengjia pointed at the door and berated, "What kind of cats and dogs are these? Jiang Tian, get lost. Get lost." Jiang Tian finally felt a little angry in his heart. His face sank as he coldly said, "I've already tolerated you again and again today. If you dare to be so impudent, be careful that I'll teach you a lesson. Miss Li hasn't said anything yet, so what are you shouting for? How do you know my brother-in-law's ability? You can't afford to offend him. Zhao Qianru was instantly enraged as she placed her hands on her waist and roared. Jia, don't let them go. I still want to chat with Jiang Tian for a while. Li Huiyan persuaded with a smile. At this moment, Guomengjia's phone rang. She was about to flare up, but she turned around to answer the phone with a livid face. After he came back, he said coldly, Huiyan, come with me quickly. Young Master Bai is already waiting for you at the hotel. Li Huiyan looked at Jiang Tian with some hesitation and reluctance, but in the end, she did not dare to go against her boss's authority. She smiled bitterly and said, Jiang Tian, I have no choice in this world. Let's meet again another day. That's fine too. Seeing this, it was not convenient for Jiang Tian to stop him. He stood up and said indifferently, You've helped our Jiang family before. I won't forget this favor. If you have any difficulties in the future, just use my name. Tell your boss Bai Choufei that you are my friend. Also, I'd better take a look at your headache. Otherwise, there will be a great disaster. Jiang Tian was full of regret towards Qing'er. He was determined to wholeheartedly protect her for the rest of her life. It was impossible for him to continue his relationship with Li Huiyan, but it was not a problem for him to protect her for the rest of her life. Ah! How did you know that I have a headache? You're really a god. Li Huiyan's face lit up with joy. She was about to give Jiang Tian her contact information. Guomengjia had already exploded. She pointed at Jiang Tian's nose and scolded harshly. Jiang Tian, I've already warned you to stop pestering Huiyan. Trash like trash, you're still a toad lusting after swan meat. Hurry up and scram as far as you can. Slap. Zhao Qianru stepped forward and slapped Guomengjia's face. She shouted sternly, Bitch, you better watch your mouth. Who are you calling a toad? Besides, my brother-in-law and my sister have a very good relationship. How could he be half-hearted? Little bitch, you dare to hit me. Guomengjia staggered from Zhao Qianru's slap. Blood dripped from the corner of her mouth as she glared at Zhao Qianru. So what if I hit you? How dare you scold my brother-in-law? I'll beat you to death. Zhao Qianru was not afraid at all as she scolded. Several bodyguards rushed over after hearing the news and shouted, You dare to hit Sister Jejia? Do you want to die? Why are you only here now? Hurry up and beat them up. How could Guomengjia bear such grievances? She immediately exploded and went completely crazy. She pointed at Jiang Tian and the other two and shouted. This time, Li Huiyan was going to hold a concert tour in the 3 cities of Jiangbei. Bai Choufei and the local entertainment industry tycoon Zhou Zhenghao had greeted them. It was said that Zhou Zhenghao was highly regarded by a mysterious big shot in Lingnan and was very popular in Jiangbei. He directly said that there would definitely be no problem with the concert and that he would escort her. With Zhou Zhenghao's guarantee, Guomengjia was not afraid of anything. She was not afraid even if someone was beaten to death. Beat him up. Little girl, you dare to hit our sister Jejia. You don't want to live anymore. Wait until it's your turn. His face will be ruined. A group of bodyguards rushed over like wolves and tigers. Some of them even pulled out their batons and daggers. Their faces were fierce and ferocious as if they really wanted to beat Jiang Tian to death to vent their anger. Don't do anything, he's my friend. Everything happened so fast that Li Huiyan could not stop them. She was so anxious that she almost fainted. In the blink of an eye, everyone rushed to Jiang Tian and chopped down with their long knives and batons. Lu Yiting also did not expect that things would turn out like this. She was so anxious that it seemed that Jiang Tian's blood would splatter in the next moment. Ague. In this regard, Jiang Tian's expression did not change. He only shouted softly. Master, old Gui is coming. a gust of wind swept over and a ghost kick came out of nowhere. It kicked 8 times in a row and the shadows of the kicks connected together. Bang! 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 A series of dense muffled sounds were heard. 7 or 8 bodyguards were sent flying. Each of them spurted out blood and their bones were broken. They were seriously injured and could not even get up. Looking at the figure again, it turned out to be an old man over 70 years old. However, his temperament was extraordinary and his eyes were bursting with light. It was obvious that he was a martial artist. Fuck, it's a mistake. The leading bodyguard knew that he had encountered an expert. However, his aura was not weak. He held his broken arm and endured the pain while pointing at Jiang Tian and shouted angrily, "Kid, do you know who we are? Don't leave if you have the guts. Bai Choufei from Yangcheng is my brother-in-law. When he comes, he will scare you to death." Next to him, someone had already called Bai Choufei to report the situation and ask for help. "Jiang Tian, you can leave now. Leave this to me," Li Huiyan said anxiously. "Huiyan, the situation is bad. How can you let them go? Can you afford to be punished?" Guomengjia knew that things had gotten out of hand. The leader of the bodyguards was called He San. He was the younger brother of a female celebrity whom Bai Choufei doted on a lot. It was not a big deal if other people were beaten up, but his arm was broken. This was difficult to deal with. When Li Huiyan saw this, she also had a moment of hesitation. She had yet to make a decision when Jiang Tian already sat down and said coolly, "Huiyan, you don't need to care about this matter anymore. Let Bai Choufei come over to see me." "Bai Choufei? He will also come." Lu Yiting trembled when she heard this. She was so scared that her face turned pale. "Jiang Tian, let's go. This person is so powerful. Even Zhou Zhenghao can't afford to offend him." Bai Choufei was too powerful. He was one of the top young masters in Yangcheng and had a strong background. He started from a gang and stepped into the film and entertainment industry. He was half famous but not black. Young masters like Long Gatian, Tang Jianfeng, and Lu Tianle from Lin Zhou were far inferior to him. As for Zhou Zhenghao, who was acquainted with Jiang Tian, in terms of financial resources and background, they could not be mentioned in the same breath. She thought that Jiang Tian's biggest reliance was Zhou Zhenghao. If he fought with the other party, he would be at a disadvantage. "Yes, you should go. Leave everything to me." Li Huiyan also hurriedly persuaded. She was a bit anxious and even a bit disappointed in Jiang Tian. Jiang Tian did not seem to have matured at all. Was this something that could be solved by his courage? Bai Choufei is nothing. When he saw my brother-in-law, he knelt for half a day. Bah! Zhao Qianru said disdainfully. "Huiyan, don't worry. He came at the right time. I will ask him to take good care of you in the company." Jiang Tian smiled faintly. What the two said was the truth. But the people present did not know this. They all thought that they were bragging and did not know what death was. At this time, in the best private room of the Dihao Club, the table was full of delicacies and high-end drinks. A large group of men with extraordinary temperaments were toasting and drinking. Behind each of them stood a tall woman in a red cheongsam. She had a picturesque face. If these girls were placed on the streets, they would definitely attract a lot of attention. No one knew which immature young man's dream goddess they were, but at this moment, they were like palace maids serving the emperor, pouring wine and tea for these men. Many rich people present did not even look at these girls. Instead, their eyes were focused on the two men in the seats. One of them was a middle-aged man in an Armani suit and a snow-white shirt. He looked extraordinary, but there was a bit of ruthlessness between his eyebrows. It was Zhou Zhenghao, the tycoon of Lin Zhou. The other man was handsome and a few years younger than Zhou Zhenghao. In terms of dress and temperament, he was a bit better than Zhou Zhenghao. But at this moment, he was toasting and flattering like a tide. It was Bai Choufei. He raised his glass and said with a smile, "Brother Hao, thanks to Grandmaster Zhang's blessings, our Lingnan underground world has unified the world. Your Imperial Club has opened in Yangcheng, and my company can also open its business in Linzhou. Xiao Bai, you're right. If it weren't for Master Kong, Lingnan would still be ruled by the river. How good would it be now? Everyone has their own strengths, and the market has increased by a few %. Zhou Zhenghao patted him on the shoulder and said proudly. In the past, he would not have dared to pat Bai Qiufei's shoulder and call him Xiao Bai. He would have retreated in the face of such a person. But it was different now. Master Kong defeated Wei Shuofeng and unified Lingnan. The Bai family and other big families were all frightened and bowed down to him. On the other hand, the status of the people in Jiangbei who had followed Master Kong for a long time had risen. Especially Zhou Zhenghao, who was the first to follow Master Kong. People called him Master Kang's golden lackey. In everyone's eyes, he was Master Kang's favorite person. Now, not to mention Bai Qiufei, even Tang Xiaozi and Tang Zhenye had to be polite when they met him and call him Brother Hao. Master Kong is like a divine dragon in the sky. It's rare to see him, but we are his lackeys. We can't ignore the etiquette. Zhou Zhenghao stood up and said with a smile, "This is the first cup of wine. We should toast Master Kong from afar." Then, he poured the wine on the ground. Chapter 162. Yes, let's toast to Master Kong first. Brother Hao is right. Let's toast to Master Kong. Many of the tycoons present scrambled to stand up. Their faces were filled with piety and reverence as they poured the wine in their cups onto the ground. After the toast, they dared to sit down and drink. Bai Qiufei drank and chatted merrily, saying with a flattering expression, "Brother Hao, we had eyes but failed to see back then, offending Grandmaster Jiang. Although Master Kong is kind and magnanimous and didn't argue with us, we still feel uneasy and want to express our gratitude." How do you want to express your gratitude? Zhou Zhenghao glanced at him. To be honest, I think Master Kong is very young and he is a martial artist. This kind of person usually has a strong physique and a strong hormone secretion. He likes women the most. Bai Qiufei smiled proudly and said, "You also know that I run a film and entertainment company, so I don't lack women. There is an artist named Li Huiyan, who is very beautiful. I want to offer her to Master Kong." Little Bai, be careful with your words. Hearing this, Zhou Zhenghao shouted and slammed the table, "If you do this, I'm afraid you won't live to see tomorrow." Brother Hao, am I wrong to think this way? Bai Qiufei's expression changed dramatically. Master Kong is noble and pure. He is like the bright moon and the gentle breeze. How can he be as dirty and vulgar as you and me? Zhou Zhenghao said in a solemn tone with a reverent face. There are many young ladies who adore him, but he values relationships and family the most. He has always been clean and has never taken a second look at them. If you send it over so recklessly, especially if Mistress finds out, I'm afraid he'll kill you. I see. Thank you for your advice, Brother Hao. Otherwise, I would be doomed eternally. When Bai Qiufei heard this, apart from feeling ashamed of his own inferiority, he was also greatly alarmed, breaking out in cold sweat. At this moment, Bai Qiufei's cell phone rang. After he answered the phone, he shook his head and his expression was not good. What's going on? Zhou Zhenghao asked when he noticed Gu Yusheng's unhappy expression. Sigh, don't mention it. A fan went to see Li Huiyan. Perhaps he wanted an autograph and a photo but was rejected, so they fought. Several of my bodyguards were seriously injured. Bai Qiufei said with a bitter smile, "Fuck, are they crazy? Jiangbei has been peaceful ever since Master Kong rose to power. Who dares to cause trouble?" Zhou Zhenghao slammed the table and shouted angrily, "Let's go. I haven't hit anyone in a long time. Let's get some exercise. This is Brother Hao's territory, so I'll have to rely on Brother Hao." When Bai Qiufei heard this, he was overjoyed, cheerfully standing up. "Jiang Tian, hurry up and leave. Li Huiyan pushed Jiang Tian a few times, but the other party did not move at all. However, Guomengjia had already pulled her aside and sneered, Huiyan, can't you see now that he's a good-for-nothing? Did he think that the world was that simple? Everything depended on using fists to solve problems. This is not the time in high school, and it's not as simple as fighting. He has no brain at all. How can he compare with Childby? Sigh, forget it. Anyway, I can't persuade him. It's better to let him suffer a little. Hearing this, Li Huiyan's eyes flashed with disappointment, and she shook her head gently. Tonight, her emotions were surging, and there were some subtle changes. In fact, when she saw Jiang Tian, she also remembered many beautiful memories and couldn't control her deeply hidden feelings. However, when she knew that Jiang Tian was married, in Li Huiyan's mind, Jiang Tian's charm suddenly decreased a lot. With her current identity and status, it was absolutely impossible for her to be Jiang Tian's canary. Especially when a series of unforeseen events occurred. After Jiang Tian disdained Jiang Tian, she was even more disappointed with Jiang Tian. Her feelings for Jiang Tian were almost completely obliterated. Now, compared with Bai Choufei, Jiang Tian, who didn't know when to advance or retreat, was really too ordinary, even a little retarded. Thinking of this, Li Huiyan shook her head in self-mockery, but her beautiful eyes were filled with bleakness and bitterness. She was really stupid. Just because he fought a few times for her in high school, she could not forget him, and even didn't hesitate to give a woman's most precious first time to him. However, people always had to learn to grow, and always had to trudge forward. Whether it was her or Jiang Tian, they shouldn't and didn't have the qualifications to indulge in the past. She even regretted meeting Jiang Tian today, personally breaking those beautiful memories of Jiang Tian. Those beautiful memories of her youth could only be stored in the bottom of her heart as a memory. It was like a soap bubble in the wind, a sand castle on the beach, unable to withstand a little test of cruel reality. When the wind blew and waves hit, it disappeared. While she was thinking, suddenly, a group of people rushed in from the backstage, led by a ruthless middle-aged man and a handsome young man in his 30s. It was Zhou Zhenghao, Bai Choufei, and others who came from the banquet. Brother-in-law, you are here. He San finally saw his backer, like an old dog seeing its master, endured the severe pain and climbed up to greet him. Young Master Bai, they just hit me, you have to help me vent my anger. Guomengjia also stepped forward and complained with grievance. Boy, now my brother-in-law and brother Hao are here, I want to see how my brother-in-law will kill you. It was also difficult for He San to be able to point at Jiang Tian with a broken arm, as if he was injected with stimulants. However, he didn't expect that before he even finished speaking. Bai Choufei knelt on the ground with a putong sound, his entire body trembling like a sieve. He kowtowed like he was pounding garlic, saying, Master Kong, I don't know how they offended you, it's all my fault for not teaching them properly, please forgive me this time. In this instant, he was scared out of his wits. Master Kong. This was someone who could crush even Wei Shuofeng, killing him was like killing a chicken. Bai Choufei feared nothing in heaven or earth, he had killed people in his teens, but the one he feared the most was Jiang Tian. He would never be able to forget the terrifying scene of Jiang Tian using fire to kill people and burn them to ashes. Jiang Tian was like a dragon in the sky, the scene of him facing 10 li of tide listening mountains black-yellow earth energy, this scene was deeply engraved into his soul. For many days, whenever he thought of these scenes, his entire body would emit cold air, as if he had fallen into an ice house. At this moment, he hated the heavens, hated the earth, hated the air, so regretful that his intestines turned green. How could his subordinates be so blind, actually offending Master Kong? No, this was all his own stupidity, he shouldn't have come to Lin Zhou to open up business. When everyone saw this, they were all shocked silly, their faces full of disbelief, as if they had seen a ghost in broad daylight. This was the Grand Bai Choufei, a first-rate young master of Sheep City, also with an underworld background. He controlled the Flying Cloud Association, his strength surging, able to stand shoulder to shoulder with Tang Xiaozi. Even if he met a provincial-level leader, he would be able to calmly deal with them, his bearing elegant and graceful. However, at this moment, he actually knelt and kowtowed before Jiang Tian, this seemingly unremarkable youth. "Oh, stand up and speak." Jiang Tian lit a cigarette, leisurely smoking, disinclined to even look at him. "Master Kong, this junior doesn't dare." Bai Qiufei prostrated himself on the ground, prostrating himself in worship, his entire body trembling, so frightened that tears were flowing out. He would never forget that day when Tang Xiaozi's younger cousin offended Jiang Tian, being chopped up and fed to the dogs. Meanwhile, Tang Xiaozi's legs were broken again, he didn't even dare to stay in Sheep City, running to Su Province to develop. He was extremely alarmed and worried. Today, he offended Jiang Tian, would his ending be the same? When she saw this scene, perilous waves surged in Li Huiyan's heart. She was stupefied, not daring to believe this, as if she had seen a ghost in broad daylight. This was too inconceivable. She was from Jinling, she had long heard that the Jiang Tian family was already on the verge of collapse. Meanwhile, Jiang Tian was expelled from the family because he caused trouble, becoming the most down-and-out young master. In terms of background, skill, and ability, how could he compare to Bai Qiufei? However, at this moment, Bai Qiufei actually knelt before Jiang Tian, just like a primary school student seeing his teacher. No, this wasn't enough. It was like a descendant seeing the spirit of their ancestor, or like seeing a demonic god, extremely respectful and fearful. "Young Master Bai, what are you doing? You must have mistaken me for someone else." "What, Master Kong, Great Master Garlic, this is my high school classmate." "Ignorant and incompetent idiot." Guomengjia wanted to pull Bai Qiufei up. Don't talk nonsense." Bai Qiufei's face was pale with fright, his eyes almost popped out, he couldn't wait to slap Guomengjia away. Seeing that he couldn't pull Bai Qiufei, Guomengjia pointed at Jiang Tian and sternly scolded, "Jiang Tian, that's enough. Don't pretend to be a ghost, quickly kneel down to young Master Bai. Otherwise, I will never let you go." He San also didn't understand the situation, he beat his chest and stamped his feet and shouted, "Brother-in-law, why are you kneeling down to him? Who does he think he is? Is he worth you kneeling down to him? Hurry up and kill him. Don't you dare harm me." Bai Qiufei couldn't control himself anymore, he stood up, pulled out a pistol from his companion and fired a shot at He San's calf. Ouch! Oh my god, it hurts. He San's kneecap was suddenly smashed, blood spurted out, he fell to the ground, holding his leg and screaming, he grimaced in pain. What a terrible scream. It's like a pig being slaughtered. Zhao Qianru covered her ears and frowned. Zhou Zhenghao's men had already taken He San outside, He San still didn't understand the situation, he shouted, "Brother-in-law, how can you do this to me, I have been loyal to you for so many years." Zhou Zhenghao knew that Jiang Tian liked peace and quiet and hated people shouting the most. He hurriedly punched Jiang Tian's lower abdomen, forcing him to swallow the rest of his words. Then, he gritted his teeth and whispered something in Jiang Tian's ear. What, he is Jiang. Master Kong. At this moment, He San's face was pale with fright. He was stunned and even forgot the pain. He struggled to go back to Jiang Tian to beg for mercy, but it was too late, he was taken out. After He San left, the whole place was silent. Jiang Tian was too lazy to say anything, Bai Qiufei and Zhou Zhenghao knew that they had made a big mistake, they didn't know how to apologize. As for Lu Yiting, Li Huiyan and other women, when they saw the blood, they were scared pale and didn't dare to speak. The rich people of Linzhou and Yang City who followed Bai Qiufei and Zhou Zhenghao looked at Jiang Tian with shock and uneasiness, trembling. Chapter 163. At this time, Li Huiyan and Lu Yiting both looked at Jiang Tian in confusion, scratching their heads in confusion. There was no need to mention Li Huiyan. She hadn't seen Jiang Tian for 2 or 3 years. She didn't know what had happened to Jiang Tian during these years. Even if Lu Yiting knew that Jiang Tian and Zhou Zhenghao had a good relationship, she didn't think that Jiang Tian could rely on Zhou Zhenghao to suppress Bai Qiufei. After all, this was the young master of Yang City. He definitely wasn't an ordinary person. Master Kong, He San and Guomenjia offended you, please tell us how to deal with them. After a long time, Bai Qiufei's face was full of fear. He respectfully bowed and cupped his fists, saying with a trembling voice. He San, this person, I don't want to see him again. Jiang Tian's face was shrouded in dense smoke, looking even more indifferent and cold. Don't worry, leave everything to me. Bai Qiufei let out a long breath, hurriedly promising. Guomenjia's face was pale with fright. She couldn't even stand steadily, looking at Jiang Tian with a pitiful expression. Although she didn't know how Bai Qiufei would deal with it, she knew that once Bai Qiufei said this, He San definitely wouldn't live. But she didn't expect that Jiang Tian didn't even look at her from beginning to end, as if she was a mass of dirty air. This isn't tolerance, but because he feels that I'm not worthy of him making a move. It's like a lion or tiger wouldn't bicker with an ant that stung them. Guomenjia understood this point. She rejoiced in her heart, but then an even greater wave of sorrow and regret hit her. At this time, even if she was an idiot, she could see that Bai Qiufei worshipped Jiang Tian like a god. Jiang Tian was no longer the Jiang Tian of the past. If she treated Jiang Tian with more courtesy, perhaps the outcome would be completely different. She would receive Bai Qiufei's attention and support, the fame, money, and status that she didn't dare to hope for before would all be there. It could be said that she missed an opportunity to struggle for 10 or 20 years less. Old classmate, it's not convenient to talk here, how about we go to the hotel to talk for a while? At this moment, Li Huiyan suppressed the shock in her heart and spoke slowly. I do have something important to discuss with you, but let's talk here, I'm really busy. Jiang Tian shook his head and winked at Lu Yiting. Zhou Zhenghao hurriedly introduced, Xiao Bai, this is Ms. Lu Yiting, the boss of Heaven Beautiful. She is also Jiang Tian's college classmate. They are very close. Madam Lu, I'm sorry for my rudeness. If you need anything, just tell me. As long as I can do it, I'll definitely go through fire and water without hesitation. Bai Qiufei repeatedly bowed towards Lu Yiting, his face full of fawning and begging. Lu Yiting was flattered and in disbelief. This was what it meant when a man ascends to the Tao, his chickens and dogs ascend to the heavens. What kind of status did Jiang Tian have to be able to make the famous Bai Qiufei treat me, a small beauty shop owner, with such respect? However, she quickly calmed down, took out the proposal, and talked about her ideas and needs. You're as beautiful as the heavens. I've heard so much about you. Listening to the introduction, Bai Qiufei nodded repeatedly and said with a smile, I've been looking forward to cooperating with your company for a long time. It's also a blessing for Tiange Entertainment. Lu Yiting didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Heaven Beautiful had a good momentum, but after all, it had just started. Now it was only concentrated in Jiangbei, with only a few branches with tens of millions of assets. When would Bai Qiufei know about it? Knowing that he was talking to Jiang Tian, Lu Yiting didn't expose him. She emphasized that the formula of the beautifying cream was invented by Jiang Tian. I see. Bai Qiufei immediately patted his chest and promised, leave it to me. I won't take a penny for the endorsement fee. It's a little filial piety and sincerity to Master Kong and Madam Li. Child Bai, thank you for your kindness, but this is not appropriate, right? Miss Li can't work for nothing. The endorsement fee should be according to the market price. Lu Yiting was a smart person. She knew that she couldn't take advantage of Jiang Tian. After all, the favor owed to Jiang Tian had to be repaid by Jiang Tian. In fact, it didn't matter if this matter only involved Bai Qiufei, but Li Huiyan had to take a share of the endorsement fee. Li Huiyan was Jiang Tian's high school classmate, so they were as close as her. It's okay, it's okay. It's just a small amount of money. I'll pay Huiyan the share of the endorsement fee. At this time, Bai Chou-fei looked at Li Huiyan in a different way, with flattery and respect. Originally, he used Li Huiyan as a bargaining chip to exchange benefits with rich and powerful officials, but now she was Jiang Tian's old classmate and could talk to Jiang Tian. How could he dare to have such thoughts? As for the endorsement fee of several million, he didn't care at all. Forget about several million, even if it was several tens of millions or hundreds of millions, as long as he could curry favor with Master Kong, it would be worth it. Speaking to this point, Jiang Tian suddenly stood up, grabbing at the top of Li Huiyan's head. My head doesn't hurt anymore. In this instant, Li Huiyan felt as if she had been enlightened, her mind clear and her eyes bright. That feeling was indescribably comfortable, as if there was a clear spring flowing through her turbid mind. Someone put a cold silkworm goo in you, you have to be careful. While the crowd was still trying to figure out what was going on, Jiang Tian opened his palm. There was a white thread-like goo worm on it that was still wriggling. What was even more terrifying was that it was emitting traces of cold energy, causing ice crystals to form in the surroundings. Alright, goodbye old classmate, I should go back. If I go home too late, my wife will be angry at me. In the next moment, Jiang Tian smiled faintly, pulled Zhao Qianru, and turned around to walk out the door. See you off, Master Kong. Jiang Tian, Bai Chou-fei, and many other tycoons bowed in unison, not daring to straighten up after Jiang Tian had walked far away. At this point, Guomengjia realized that their backs were already drenched in sweat. Jiang Tian, looking at Jiang Tian's back, Li Huiyan stood there in a daze, her heart filled with complex emotions. Lu Yiting quickly followed Jiang Tian out of the door, wanting to send Jiang Tian home. However, Jiang Tian said that it was too late and asked her to go back early, while he left in the brand new Maserati sports car that Zhao Qianru had gotten from Guangzhou. Sigh, his ability is really beyond my imagination. I thought that I would be worthy of him if I did a good job at Beauty Heaven. Looking at Jiang Tian's back, Lu Yiting's eyes were filled with sadness, tears glistening, and regret and disappointment. She muttered to herself in a self-deprecating manner, moreover, I can see that he is very loyal and doting on Zhao Xueqing. The big star Li Huiyan has deep feelings for him, but he doesn't reject her. How can I, a small owner of a beauty shop, move him? The slightly cool night wind blew over Xiu Lake, making her feel lonely and bleak in her heart. Maybe, I can only bury this feeling in the bottom of my heart forever. As long as I know that he is living in this world like me, looking at the same starry sky, and blowing the same night wind, I will be very grateful, very relieved, and very beautiful. She looked up at the deep night sky and stood in the empty square. A smile gradually appeared on her pretty face, and she muttered to herself, Jiang Tian, thank you for meeting me in this life. Back at the hotel, Li Huiyan was as happy as a child, jumping on the bed. Jia, do you know? Just on the way, Child Bai told me that he will use all the resources of the company to focus on training me. Do you know the action movie with 100 million investment? I will be the leading actor. Li Huiyan said excitedly. Guomengjia lay on the bed in a daze, weak and powerless. After a long time, she said with regret, Huiyan, do you know? We missed a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Well, Sister Jia, don't be sad. Child Bai is focusing on training me, isn't he? Li Huiyan persuaded, moreover, Jiang Tian didn't care about you, so your work won't be affected. Huiyan, have you forgotten what happened a few years ago? You are not Jiang Tian's old classmate, but his old lover. Guomengjia sat up and started smoking a thin and long female more menthol cigarette. She sighed and said, if you had performed better today, maybe we could have rekindled our old feelings. Do you know what it means to make Bai Chou-fei bow his head and kneel? With Jiang Tian's strength, even the children of the top families in Yanjing can't do it. Alas, I didn't expect it, but you didn't expect it either. Mentioning this, Li Huiyan also felt a burst of regret and disappointment. Her performance today was generally decent, but the problem was that it was too decent and rational. She couldn't stand Jiang Tian's reckless appearance, so she finally gave up persuading him and let Jiang Tian's life and death be left to fate. When Bai Choufei came, she didn't speak for Jiang Tian, but looked on with folded arms. She wanted to let Jiang Tian suffer a little and change his arrogant and domineering personality. It might not matter to others, but how could people like Jiang Tian not notice it? It could be said that after meeting today, the feelings and relationship between the two people didn't go further, but took a step back and returned to the beginning. But, who would have thought that an abandoned son of a declining family could climb over the head of the dignified Bai Choufei? Regarding this, Li Huiyan and Guo Mengjia wrung their hands and sighed for a while, but could only drop the matter at this point. Suddenly, Li Huiyan's whole body trembled. Thinking of the cold silkworm goo that Jiang Tian removed, she couldn't help but feel a chill in her heart. Who in the world put the goo in me? Faces came one after another in Li Huiyan's mind, and finally locked onto a charming woman. Her heart jumped in fright. It can't be her, right? The five elements spirit gathering formation was indeed extraordinary. After cultivating for another 2 days, Jiang Tian already broke through to Qi disciple stage 4 perfection. Qing'er also cultivated for more than a month, and now the true essence in her body was more and more vigorous. However, the stainless phoenix immortal body was like a sponge without external input, and couldn't display the slightest bit of true essence. She played the white ape bone zither all day long, to the extent that her fingers were bleeding, but she couldn't make any sound. This made her frown, and her face was full of worry. Jiang Tian, am I unable to cultivate forever, unable to play this white ape ancient zither? Zhao Xueqing's face was full of worry, and her eyes were slightly red. She didn't want to be a burden to Jiang Tian, and wanted to stand side by side with Jiang Tian. Don't worry, I will definitely find the D new flower and help you ascend the path of cultivation. Jiang Tian smiled and comforted her. Looks like I still need to use these subordinates of Lingnan to help me find it. Jiang Tian's plan was set. He immediately gathered Taoist master Hongye, Tao Fengshe, Su Wenjie, and other spell experts, Li Zhenwei, Qiu Gong, and other martial artists, as well as the Lingnan heroes, to King No. 1 Villa for a meeting. I need a kind of herb called the D new flower. I don't know if you've heard of it. After everyone greeted him, Jiang Tian frowned and said. Chapter 164. I've never heard of it. Everyone frowned and thought for a moment, then shook their heads. Here's a picture. Have you seen it before? Jiang Tian asked Shinmange to distribute the pictures. Jiang Tian drew a sketch based on the memory of the princess flower he saw in the extraterrestrial star. He was proficient in music, chess, calligraphy, and painting. The drawing was lifelike, and he found someone to render it with a graphics software. Basically, the shape and color of the flower were pretty much the same. After all, Huaxia and the extraterrestrial star belonged to a completely different civilization. It was possible that the names were different. However, everyone shook their heads when they saw the picture, indicating that they had never seen it before. None of you have seen it before. Seeing this, Jiang Tian sighed helplessly. The Shenong school could be ranked in the top 3 in Huaxia in terms of proficiency in medicinal herbs. There were a lot of ancient books, and there were many major herbs and spiritual herbs. However, he had already communicated with Suazimu and the others, but they had never seen it before. He had already guessed that this would happen, but when it came to it, he could not help but feel disappointed. Could it be that I have to go to the extraterrestrial star to find the princess flower and take Qing'er on the road of cultivation? Zhao Xueqing, who was sitting next to Jiang Tian, patted the back of Jiang Tian's hand and smiled gently. She comforted him gently, "Honey, there's no rush." However, she also let out a long sigh. The disappointment in her heart could not be erased. At this moment, Shinmange suddenly bowed and said, "Master, do you know that the Martial Arts Alliance Conference is going to be held?" Martial Arts Alliance Assembly? Jiang Tian asked with a frown. Yes, every 5 years, Huaxia will hold a Martial Arts Alliance Conference. It is organized by the Huaxiaolong Formation to elect the leader of the Wulin Alliance, Shen Mange said. The Martial Arts Alliance Conference is a gathering of experts, except for the secluded sects like Shu Mountain and Kunlun. Only sects and martial arts families like Shushan and Shu will participate. I think that if Master participates in this conference, he might be able to gain something. Wulin Alliance Master, what era is it now? Why are you still creating this kind of thing? Jiang Tian laughed involuntarily. Master Kong, there's something you don't know. In his seat, Tang Guizhu explained, Huaxia's martial arts have a long history. It can be traced back to the pre-Qin Qi refinement warriors. Since the modern era had entered the age of Dharma decline, cultivation resources were scarce, and martial arts began to decline gradually. Especially with the prosperity of science and technology, an ordinary person can kill an iron body or even an inner strength expert with a gun. With this, the martial arts lineage has declined even more. However, the decline of martial arts does not mean that it no longer exists. In fact, martial arts experts still play an important role in modern society. Go on. Hearing this, Jiang Tian nodded. Although martial arts and spells had declined, martial arts experts were still powerful figures. Other things aside, Hubei province's Hung Tianzhao controlled hundreds of millions of assets. Zhonghai's martial arts organizations also had the shadow of a large circle of martial artists behind them. The huge Lingnan was originally suppressed by Wei Shuofeng alone. The Martial Arts Alliance Conference and Alliance Master that Madame Mange mentioned just now is just an unofficial term among the people. Tang Guizhu said respectfully, his real name is the Huaxia Martial Arts Alliance. He was established on October 1, 1997 in Huaxia's capital, Yanjing. When he was first established, he announced to the public that this was an organization to promote the unification and cooperation of Huaxia's martial arts groups locally and globally, promoting the development of martial arts. However, this was only what he announced to the public. The real reason is that he used martial arts to break the law. Oh. Jiang Tian was slightly taken aback. Elder Tang said, in the 1990s, there was a reform and opening up. The economy was surging, society was in turmoil, and law and order were in chaos. Small things like hooligans ran amok, and big things like spellcasters preaching. They had a huge number of followers. Martial arts masters also appeared like dragons and snakes. With their superb martial arts skills, they ignored the country's laws and regulations and did whatever they wanted, causing harm to the people. At this moment, Qiu Gong interrupted. At that time, there were many martial artists who rose to prominence in Huaxia. For example, Lin Zhenyu from the Big Circle, Qiao Bin from the Northeast, Wan Yanfang from the United Bamboo Gang of Treasure Island, and many others. They all went around challenging martial arts schools and competing in martial arts. They made a name for themselves and gathered quite a number of forces to rule over a region. Tang Guizhu nodded and said, the great country was plagued by internal and external problems. The people had no way of making a living and their lives were miserable. At this time, the country's leaders decided to strike hard. They ordered the military, police, and national security departments to work together to clean up the evil in the country and return peace to the people. A nationwide crackdown was launched, and criminals were arrested and sentenced severely. Within a year, the country's culture and customs were improved, and social order was improved significantly. The world was at peace. However, the crimes of ordinary people were easy to solve, but the crimes of martial arts masters were beyond the capabilities of the local police. At this time, the Huaxiaolong Formation, which was supported by the National Security Department and the police and directly under the military, was born. The Huaxiaolong Formation can be traced back to the Yellow Flame Iron Brigade before the Battle of the River Crossing Battle. That was the personal guard of the great ancestor. Originally, when the new country was established, the world was peaceful and the world was peaceful. This kind of martial arts master organization was almost abolished. But in the 90s, the society was plagued by internal and external problems. Without a choice, the Yellow Flame Iron Brigade changed its name to the Huaxiaolong Formation. The leader was the god of war in the army, Yi Zhantian. Yi Zhantian's father, Yi Tianren, was the founder of the Huaxiaolong formation. He had a strong cultivation base and was highly respected. He sent out invitations to recruit martial artists to join the Huaxiaolong formation. He also gave them political and ideological education to ensure their loyalty to the country and the people. After a few years, the Huaxiaolong formation finally showed its bravery to the evil martial artists. Tang Guizhu passionately said, within that year, Yi Zhantian injured the Grand Master of the Northeast, Qiao Bin, at the Heaven Lake of Whitehead Mountain, defeated the Master of the Great Circle, Lin Jinyu, at the West Lake, and killed the leader of the United Bamboo Sect, Wan Yanfang, with a single sword strike at the Sun Moon Lake. At that time, Hong Kong's 14K and Liansheng, who were close to the United Bamboo Gang, were like little kittens. They obediently withdrew their claws and cooperated with Hong Kong's return to the motherland. At this time, Qiu Gong pursed his lips and angrily interrupted, ever since the Huaxiaolong formation's Operation Unsheathing Sword in 1997, for the past 20 years, Huaxia's martial arts world has welcomed an unending nightmare. Yi Zhantian killed until heads rolled and blood flowed like rivers. The martial arts families and sects felt as if there was a Damocles sword hanging over their heads. They trembled as if they were treading on thin ice, not daring to move an inch. Every move was under the surveillance of the Long formation. Tang Guizhu could be said to be one of the beneficiaries of the crackdown. At that time, he followed the trend and joined the military as the head instructor of the ferocious tigers. In just 20 years, the Tang family became the most prominent family in Linzhou. However, Qiu Gong loved freedom all his life. He chose the opposite path from Tang Guizhu. He was like a wild bandit, challenging and killing people everywhere. He was also once in the limelight, but in the end, he was just a bodyguard or an assassin under Yi Gufeng. Although he did not have to worry about food and clothing, he did not achieve what he wanted. His cultivation level was even higher than Tang Guizhu's. It was only because of a difference of opinion that the two of them had now become worlds apart in terms of status and influence. As the saying goes, one's position determines one's head. When Tang Guizhu talked about the Huaxiaolong formation, he was exhilarated and excited. However, Qiu Gong only curled his lips and shook his head. His comments were very negative. After the crackdown, the people shouted that the sky is still clear and the world is still bright. The Huaxiaolong formation also broke away from the military and became an independent martial arts organization. Tang Guizhu did not care about Qiu Gong's attitude. He said slowly, they also formed the Huaxia Martial Arts Alliance, which became a self-disciplined martial arts organization. Together with the Huaxiaolong formation, one is in the light and the other is in the dark. Together, they supervise and maintain the order of martial arts in Huaxia and prevent martial arts from breaking the law again. Who is the current leader of Huaxia Martial Arts Alliance? Jiang Tian smiled faintly and asked. His name is Wei Feilong. He is also a grandmaster. Tang Guizhu said with a complicated smile. This person is nothing compared to Master Kong. Qiu Gong curled his lips and said disdainfully, he is only at the initial stage of the transcendent state. Without Yi Zhantian's support, he would not have been able to hold on to this position. Jiang Tian nodded and said with a smile, looks like this Wei Feilong is also a mediocre person. Otherwise, how could Wei Shuofeng, Li Tuofeng of the Northwest, and Yi Wudao of the Jiangsu province rise to prominence? If someone else said that the president of the Martial Arts Alliance was a mediocre person, they would be regarded as ignorant and boastful. However, when Jiang Tian said this, everyone felt that it was reasonable and they all nodded in agreement. At this time, Shen Mange laughed and said, if Master participates in the Martial Arts Alliance conference, he will definitely win and become the president of the Martial Arts Alliance. Ms. Mange is right. If Master Kong wins, then won't we all have a powerful backer? Yeah, by that time, we can rely on Master Kong to intimidate others. We can go east to Taiwan, enter Macau, and conquer Hong Kong. Then, we can control the inland in the west. How awesome would that be? It was just a casual remark, but when everyone heard it, their eyes widened and they slapped their thighs. Make a fortune. Make a fortune. Ha, I think I see piles of money. Tang Wannian was jumping up and down like a monkey. He was overjoyed. Grandmaster Jiang, if you sell your martial arts skills to the royal family, it might not be a bad idea. Yi Gufeng and the others also advised. Everyone knew that Jiang Tian did things naturally and did not like to be tied down. He did not accept Battle Dragon's invitation before, but this time was different. The Martial Arts Alliance was originally a civilian organization, so it was relatively free. However, its status was higher than Battle Dragon's, second only to the Long Formation. It was very suitable for Jiang Tian. Scheming people like Tang Guizhu and Yi Gufeng had considered an even deeper level. After Jiang Tian rose, he was as powerful as a dragon. He killed many people, including Xing Shanhu, Hubei Province's martial arts grandmaster, Hong Tianzhao, swept through the Shinong school, and crushed Wei Shuofeng and Mo Haoxiong. His hands were stained with blood, and there were many cases of murder. Last time, the battle between Jiang Tian and Wei Shuofeng had entered the government's field of vision. From their point of view, Jiang Tian's actions were not suspicious of him breaking the law with martial arts. If Jiang Tian did not join the Huaxiaolong Formation or the Martial Arts Alliance, would they be afraid and kill him? Thinking about it, Tang Guizhu and Yi Gufeng broke out in cold sweat. How can a mere president of the Martial Arts Alliance catch my eye? Jiang Tian said with a disdainful smile. Back then, he had swept through the universe and intimidated millions of light years. Immortal emperors and immortal venerables had submitted to him. What kind of glory was that? However, after 10,000 years of ups and downs, he had long become indifferent to these empty titles. He did not care about them at all. Master Kong, you really don't want to join? As soon as these words were spoken, everyone was greatly astonished, and they wrung their hands and sighed. Don't mention this again. Jiang Tian waved his hand with a determined expression. He then smiled and said, by the way, Mange, where will the Martial Arts Alliance's meeting be held? Shen Mange bowed and said, in a month's time, at the foot of Mount Lu in Gan Province, next to Poyang Lake. Well, we'll go there then. Maybe we'll find something. If we can find the D-daughter flower, that would be even better. Jiang Tian smiled faintly and sighed with a long look in his eyes. Chapter 165. Jiang Tian waved his hand to dismiss everyone, but Elder Tang stayed behind. He cupped his fists and bowed. Master Kong, this old man has a presumptuous request, but I still want to beg you to condescend and give Zhanlong some pointers. As far as I know, Zhanlong belongs to the General Staff Department, and their base should be in Beijing, right? Jiang Tian peeled a tangerine for Qing'er and stuffed it into her mouth as he asked with a frown. That's right. Then it's going to be difficult. Jiang Tian smacked his lips and shook his head with a bitter smile. Actually, I don't mind giving Zhanlong some pointers. But you know that Qing'er can't leave me for even a day. Linzhou and Beijing are so far apart, and Qing'er can't withstand the torment of love. Jiang Tian, you want to be lazy, but don't use me as a shield. Zhao Xueqing's beautiful face was at a loss whether to laugh or cry. Under Elder Tang's amused gaze, the blush on her face gradually spread. She pinched the muscles on Jiang Tian's waist and said angrily, stop joking around. How can you treat such a big matter as child's play? Hurry up and agree to Elder Tang's request. Qing'er hoped that Jiang Tian would agree to Elder Tang's invitation. There was an ancient saying that said, regret calls the husband to seek the title of Marquis. It meant that when a man had great achievements, he would often abandon his wife for the new. However, Qing'er wasn't worried about this at all. She had absolute trust in Jiang Tian, and she didn't want to affect Jiang Tian's career. He was Zhanlong's chief instructor, after all. Besides, the Tang family had helped the two of them a lot, especially the military order of 2 billion yuan, which directly raised the Zhao Pharmaceutical Company to an unimaginable height. I can't go to Beijing at this time. A cold glint flashed across Jiang Tian's eyes as he stroked his chin. He thought of the girl who had broken the engagement in his previous life. At that time, she was as high and mighty as the stars in the sky. She had done everything she could to humiliate Jiang Tian, bringing shame to the entire Jiang family. In fact, Jiang Tian wasn't an old-fashioned person. He didn't agree with the so-called marriage arranged by the parents, and he didn't feel that he had to marry the girl he had only met a few times. But of all things, she shouldn't have publicly proposed to break off the engagement at a meeting attended by all the major families in Jinling. This was not to embarrass Jiang Tian, but to humiliate the entire Jiang family and make them the laughingstock of Jinling. If it was just a matter of face, it would be fine, but this matter could be said to be extremely poisonous. In fact, the main reason why the three major families of Jinling attacked the Jiang family was that they felt that the Jiang family had offended the other major families and were easy to bully. Therefore, it could be said that the family and the incident of breaking off the engagement were the indirect reason why the Jiang family was attacked. From the day Jiang Tian returned, he swore in his heart that one day, he would definitely suppress that family in Beijing and return the humiliation they had given him back then 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times, 10,000 times. Jiang Tian was afraid that he would lose control of his emotions and destroy that family when he arrived in Beijing. However, Jiang Tian wasn't willing to go on a killing spree. One had to know that a silent slap was the most painful, and it could make one's face swell up. If that's the case, I can let Hong To communicate with Battle Dragon and let them build a training base in the Lingnan military region. Elder Tang pondered for a moment and suddenly clapped his hands. As long as Master Kong is willing to guide them, what's so difficult about that? That's fine. Jiang Tian smiled. However, there's one thing. I won't hold any position in Battle Dragon. I'll only participate as an external consultant. Sigh, Master Kong, do you hate the system that much? Tang Guozhu was stunned for a moment. He didn't know if he should admire Jiang Tian's character or sigh and worry. Otherwise, I won't agree. Jiang Tian's face was calm and indifferent. He was eating iced watermelon slices and said calmly. All right, then I won't make things difficult for Master Kong. I'll talk to Hong Tu about this. Elder Tang nodded in the end. Jiang Tian didn't expect Battle Dragon to prepare so quickly. In just a few days, Elder Tang and Tang Linglong came looking for him excitedly. Master, Battle Dragon completely agrees with your plan. They've already built a training base in the Lingnan military region. They've also mobilized all the members and are waiting for you to guide them. Tang Linglong ran over, hugged Jiang Tian's shoulder, and said coquettishly, Master, take me with you. You're not a member of Battle Dragon. What are you going to do? Jiang Tian patted the little girl's head and gently pushed her away from him. Linzhou was a coastal city. Even though it was early winter, the weather wasn't cold at all. The little girl was wearing a black cotton long-sleeved t-shirt. It was a little tight at the waist, making her waist look slender. Her chest rose and fell, revealing a touch of white skin. Her lower body was wearing a pair of beige casual pants. It wrapped around her buttocks perfectly and spread out a beautiful arc. The little girl was already 20 years old. She was at the age where she was like a flower in jade. She was becoming more and more mature. Although they were master and disciple in name, Jiang Tian's Dao heart was indifferent and unperturbed. However, when Qing'er saw it, she couldn't help but feel a little uncomfortable. Of course I'm going. This time I'm going to beat those instructors until their noses are crooked. Tang Linglong didn't think so much. She waved her fist, wrinkled her nose, and gnashed her teeth fiercely. Hee, Linglong, don't be rash. Elder Tang glared at Tang Linglong and then explained, Linglong was also a member of the Ferocious Tiger. She once participated in the selection of Battle Dragon but was eliminated. In a fit of anger, she retired. But all these years, she's been suppressing her anger. Oh, I see. Jiang Tian smiled faintly. At that time, Tang Linglong was only at the early stage of the iron body stage. She hadn't even stepped into the threshold of a true martial artist. How could she compare with Battle Dragon? There was indeed a gap between their standards back then. Master Kong, then you should leave as soon as possible. Tang Guizhu urged with a smile. Okay, I've already prepared lunch for Qing'er. Let's go. Jiang Tian looked at every blade of grass and every tree in his house longingly. Then, he got up happily, prepared lunch, and left for Yangcheng. That afternoon, Jiang Tian and Tang Linglong arrived at Yangcheng and stayed in a 5-star hotel. Linglong, didn't you say we're going straight to the camp? Why are you staying in a hotel? Jiang Tian was also curious about this. Don't mention it. My grandfather has an old comrade. He has a grandson and he wants to go on a blind date with me. Tang Linglong was also very upset at the mention of this. Her face was red as she pouted and stomped her feet angrily. She had always been a free-spirited and unrestrained person. She hated things like blind dates the most. Especially after she became Jiang Tian's disciple, she felt that all the men in the world were so vulgar that they couldn't even compare to a strand of hair on her master's leg. However, that old comrade had gone through fire and water with Elder Tang. He had even taken a bullet for Elder Tang. The two families were very close. This marriage was decided when she was a few years old. Now, Elder Tang couldn't bring himself to let Tang Linglong meet the other party. Whether it was a success or not, there had to be an explanation. Oh, I see. Linglong has grown up. You're going to get married. Jiang Tian's face was kind as if he was looking at his own daughter. Master, can you not talk about this anymore? Tang Linglong's eyes reddened. She suddenly felt sour in her heart. She thought, it's a pity that my parents gave birth to me a few years later. If I were as old as Sister Qing'er, I would have gone on a blind date with Jiang Tian. His uncle didn't love him and his grandma didn't love him. He was crazy and stupid. Naturally, no one wanted him. However, I had a discerning eye and could see that he was extraordinary. I would have married him and taken care of his daily life. We would have loved each other. If one day he met Sister Qing'er, no matter how much Sister Qing'er liked him, he would only say, although you're very good, my heart belongs to my wife, Linglong. I'll take you in as my disciple. That way, I'll also love her very much and call her Sister Qing'er. Okay, I won't talk about it anymore. For some reason, he touched the girl's heart. Jiang Tian hurriedly raised his hands and surrendered with a doting gaze. Then, he said in an old-fashioned manner, I won't get involved in the affairs of you young people. Jiang Tian meditated in the hotel for a while. Tang Linglong came over from the room next door and said a little embarrassedly, Master, he's here. He's waiting in the restaurant downstairs. Oh, then you can go. Jiang Tian said indifferently. Master, you come with me. You're going on a blind date. Why should I be the third wheel? Jiang Tian said with a frown. A teacher for a day is a father for life. My dad isn't here, so you have to check for me. Tang Linglong said disapprovingly. Okay then, I'm going to give him a good beating. In this regard, Jiang Tian could only smile helplessly and get up. It was probably the first time a girl went on a blind date. She was very nervous and wanted to have an acquaintance by her side to feel a sense of security. When they came to the restaurant downstairs, a tall and handsome young man stood up to welcome them. He held a bouquet of bright roses and said with a smile, Linglong, this is for you. Tang Linglong smiled awkwardly, but she still took it and said with a smile, Mingfei, you're too polite. Seeing Tang Linglong holding Jiang Tian's arm intimately, a chill flashed in the depths of Tai Mingfei's eyes, but he still forced a smile and said, Linglong, who is this? Jiang Tian was afraid that it would cause a misunderstanding and affect their relationship, so he quickly introduced himself, Oh, I'm Linglong's master. My surname is Jiang. I'm giving her some pointers on martial arts. Tai Mingfei was suspicious. He thought to himself, How could he be Tang Linglong's master at such a young age? He's so intimate. Could he be a boy toy? He thought, but his expression didn't change. He took the initiative to reach out his hand and said with a smile, Master Jiang, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Jiang Tian smiled indifferently and shook hands with him. At this moment, Tai Mingfei suddenly exerted all his strength and clenched his fist. He wanted to teach Jiang Tian a lesson. He was a member of the ferocious tiger and had the reputation of being the king of soldiers. He also had the cultivation of iron body. If he clenched his fist, an ordinary person would have broken bones and tendons. Jiang Tian felt that Tai Mingfei was trying his best, and used the bone-melting soft hands technique. Immediately, Tai Mingfei only felt that the opponent's hand had turned soft and turned into mud, while Jiang Tian also cooperated and cried out, ouch. Tai Mingfei gently let go of his hand and smiled proudly. Master Jiang's skill seems to be a little lacking. Jiang Tian rubbed his hand a few times and sat down. He was too lazy to argue with him, and said meaningfully, Mingfei, you're amazing. I finally understand that there's always someone better than you. Tang Linglong was smart. She immediately saw that Tai Mingfei was testing Jiang Tian's strength. She couldn't help but feel a little annoyed. She threw the rose on the ground and shouted, Tai Mingfei, that's enough. Your strength is not even 1/10,000th of my master's. If you continue to be so rude, get out of here. Chapter 166. Tai Mingfei did not expect Tang Linglong to flare up in public. He was a little embarrassed. He forced a smile and said, Don't be angry, Linglong. I just want to learn from Master Jiang. Tang Linglong pulled Jiang Tian away. It was Jiang Tian who helped him out. He smiled and said, Linglong, forget it. Mingfei doesn't mean any harm. Don't make a big fuss. Sit down and eat. This time it's because of my master. Tang Linglong was always obedient to Jiang Tian. Only then did she sit down. Waiter. Tai Mingfei quickly went along and sat down as well. He asked the waiter to serve the dishes. However, when they started eating, Tai Mingfei felt very awkward. Tang Linglong and Jiang Tian were talking and laughing. She also poured wine and dishes for Jiang Tian. It was like a little palace maid treating the emperor. However, she did not even bother to talk to Tai Mingfei. He became more and more suspicious. He was sure that Jiang Tian was Tang Linglong's boy toy. Their master and disciple relationship was just a cover. Mingfei, you seem to be in the army too. Jiang Tian saw that he was embarrassed and angry, so he deliberately pulled him aside and asked him about this and that. Yes, I'm from the Tai family in Yangcheng. The Tai family is a big family in Yangcheng. Many family members work in the army and military industry. Tai Mingfei said proudly, Tai Minghuang, one of the 4 young masters of Yangcheng, is my cousin. I'm now working in the Fierce Tiger Army. This time, I'm lucky to be a substitute for the Battle Dragon Army and participate in the special training together. Oh, I see. Jiang Tian smiled faintly. Seeing that Jiang Tian's face was calm instead of the shock and awe that he had imagined, Tai Mingfei secretly scolded him for being pretentious. Then he said proudly, we have invited a Wu Dao Grand Master this time. Then, he gave a self-deprecating laugh and whispered, Haha, why am I telling you all this? You're just a common man in the Jianghu. You only know a little martial arts. How would you know about a master like Master Kong? Puchi. Suddenly, Tang Linglong laughed. Tai Mingfei felt that the way she looked at him was like looking at an idiot. He could not help but ask in surprise, what are you laughing at? When Tang Linglong saw that he repeatedly disrespected Jiang Tian, she was also angry. She pointed at Jiang Tian and said, didn't your grandfather and cousin tell you that my master is Master Kong? Her face was full of disdain as she said, you really have eyes but can't see. You can't see the real person's face. Tai Mingfei gave Jiang Tian a careful look, then couldn't help but slap his thigh and laugh out loud. Ling Long, you really know how to flatter your master. Master Kong is said to be 60 years old. How old is your cheap master? Your hair isn't even fully grown yet. It was not his fault. Tai Mingfei had a mission in the army and did not attend the banquet of bliss that day. Later, he heard a lot of rumors about Master Kong, but Tai Minghuang and the others were very respectful of Jiang Tian. They usually called him the old man. Later on, the rumors spread like wildfire. The young masters of Yangcheng who didn't know the truth all said that Grandmaster Jiang was already 60 years old, had a white beard, white hair, and a youthful face. It was as if it was true. Ha, you really are ignorant. Hurry up and apologize to my master, or I won't forgive you. Tang Linglong looked down on Tai Mingfei more and more. Her face was full of disdain and contempt. All right, Linglong, let's not talk about this anymore. Let's eat, let's eat. Jiang Tian saw that Tai Mingfei was so angry that his face was red, so he quickly tried to smooth things over. During the meal, Tai Minghuang's imagination ran wild. He was so jealous of Jiang Tian that the roots of his teeth itched. When they finally finished eating, Tai Minghuang seemed to enthusiastically invite Ling Long, there's a performance at the Yangcheng Opera House tonight. I bought 2 tickets. Let's go and watch together. I'm not going. I want to be with my master. Tang Linglong didn't even look at him. As she spoke, she pulled Jiang Tian upstairs, leaving Tai Mingfei in a mess in the wind. Tai Mingfei sat in a daze for a long time, frowning. His face was getting uglier and uglier. He thought to himself that the relationship between Jiang Tian and Tang Linglong was definitely not that simple. He immediately went to the front desk, showed his ID, and checked the room numbers of Jiang Tian and Tang Linglong. He also got the surveillance footage. What? They actually went into the same room? Tai Mingfei only felt that the top of his head was green and his eyes were red. He asked the waiter for the universal room card and rushed to the elevator. Master, this Tai Mingfei is too arrogant and frivolous. He has been disrespectful to you time and time again. I don't like it. After pulling Jiang Tian to her room, Tang Linglong immediately frowned and said coldly. In fact, you still have to look at him from the perspective of development. He is only in his early 20s now. It is inevitable that he is impulsive and arrogant. After experiencing the hardships of life in the future, he will get better. In this regard, Jiang Tian was also very helpless. To be honest, Tang Linglong had already embarked on the road of cultivation with him. In the future, she would become an immortal or a god. How could such an ordinary person be worthy of his beloved disciple? The problem was that Tang Linglong was still a young lotus who had just shown her tip. She could not break away from the secular life yet. From the secular point of view, Tai Mingfei was worthy of Tang Linglong in terms of family background and ability. No matter what, I will never be with him. Tang Linglong shook Jiang Tian's arm and pouted. She said coquettishly, Master, you have to stand on my side. My grandfather and father will listen to you. This depends on whether Mr. Tang and your father have foresight. But it is not convenient for me to intervene in your family affairs. Jiang Tian shook his head with a wry smile. Seeing that Jiang Tian was serious, Tang Linglong was also helpless. She suddenly changed the topic and asked, Master, recently I have always felt that the qi in my body is a little blocked. I can't use the 13 swords of Taishian instantly. There is also a faint pain in my chest. What is going on? Let me have a look. Jiang Tian scanned with his divine sense and put his fingers on Tang Linglong's white wrist to feel her pulse. Suddenly, he frowned. This is because of the switching of cultivation methods. You used to practice the Haoran physical exercise formula. Recently, you have been practicing the 13 swords of Taishian crazily. It is a kind of forced activation of the true essence. There is a mass of qi blocked in several acupoints in your chest, zhongting, and so on. Jiang Tian said lightly. Master, isn't this very difficult to handle? I heard that the disorder of qi and blockage can even cause qi deviation. Hearing this, Tang Linglong was so scared that her face turned pale. It doesn't matter. If this kind of problem can be difficult for me, do I deserve to be your master? Jiang Tian looked calm and said lightly, go and take a bath. Wear a bathrobe or loose pajamas. In short, you have to expose your back. I will help you to comb your meridians and open up your qi. To comb the meridians, sometimes it was necessary to expel toxins and excess true qi. Clothes must be ventilated. Oh, I will go now. Tang Linglong immediately ran into the bathroom. The sound of running water was heard. After a while, Tang Linglong came out. At this time, the little girl was wrapped in a bath towel, revealing her jade-like shoulders. Her skin was as white as milk, and her snow-white breasts were also exposed. She often practiced martial arts and used to be in the army. Although she was young, her body was more healthy and plump than Qing'er's. She was thin in the right places, but the flesh on her shoulders and arms were very strong. After being steamed by the steam, her small face without any makeup looked even more translucent and delicate. Master, can I do this? Tang Linglong twirled in front of Jiang Tian. The bottom of the bath towel rose, revealing a section of her snow-white and plump legs. Jiang Tian's heart was as calm as still water in this charming and gentle scene. However, this was the first time Tang Linglong was exposed in such an ambiguous manner in front of her master. Her little face was shy and timid, and her beautiful eyes rippled. Yes, you can. Meditate on the bed with your legs crossed. I will help you comb your meridians. Jiang Tian smiled and sat on the bed first. Tang Linglong sat down in front of him. She felt a pair of warm hands on her back. Suddenly, her heart trembled and her beautiful face turned even redder. It was as if blood was about to drip out. But then, a wave of steaming hot air flowed into her body, making her feel indescribably comfortable. She couldn't help but moan, so comfortable, master, I want a little more. Jiang Tian felt a headache coming on. This girl's body was emitting a rich body fragrance, and she was moaning like that. It was really unbearable. However, Jiang Tian quickly calmed himself down and concentrated on pouring his true essence into her body as if it was free. Moreover, his fingers began to press on the acupuncture points on her back, chest, and legs. With the infusion of true core, Jiang Tian's consumption was not small. He was sweating a lot, and his shirt was soaked. It stuck to his body and was very uncomfortable. Jiang Tian was annoyed by the binding of the shirt, so he unbuttoned it and threw the shirt aside. Comfortable. Master, I can't take it anymore. Suddenly, Tang Linglong's blocked meridians were all opened. An indescribable comfort and satisfaction came like a storm. The surging true core surged wildly in her body. She only felt that her body was full of endless strength, and her delicate body shook violently. There was a loud bang. The bed board and the bed legs broke, and the two of them were buried together under the quilt. Jiang Tian subconsciously hugged Tang Linglong in his arms. It was like a warm and fragrant jade in his arms. It was charming and gentle. Tang Linglong also hugged Jiang Tian tightly. She enjoyed the fresh and pleasant feeling, and her mind was intoxicated. However, Jiang Tian quickly reacted. He pushed away Tang Linglong, whose starry eyes were half closed, and pretended to be angry. If your meridians are opened, then so be it. Why are you still moving? The bed collapsed. I'm sorry, master. I didn't mean it. Tang Linglong weakly responded. She enjoyed that moment of tenderness and was reluctant to leave. She also felt that it was interesting and could not help but want to laugh. Hurry up and get up. Jiang Tian was so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood. He pushed her away and said, What do you think the waiter will think when he sees this scene when he comes to change the room or the bed? Seeing that Jiang Tian had pushed her away, Tang Linglong did not dare to be too greedy and make her master unhappy. She blushed and said coquettishly, "Master, we didn't do anything wrong." "What are you afraid of?" She was about to get up when suddenly, the door was kicked open from the outside, and Tai Mingfei rushed in. In an instant, Jiang Tian was dumbfounded. Tang Linglong was also dumbfounded. Tai Mingfei heard some strange sounds outside. At this moment, he saw that Tang Linglong was only wearing a bath towel, which was very exposed. Her face was red, she was panting and sweating all over. Jiang Tian was also shirtless, and there was a lipstick mark on his face. Suddenly, a wave of anger rushed to his head. He pointed at Jiang Tian and scolded, "You bastard, how dare you fuck my woman?" Chapter 167. Jiang Tian stood up lazily. With a trace of coldness in his eyes, he frowned and said, "Get out." If it weren't for the fact that he had some relationship with Elder Tang, it would have been a misunderstanding. If he dared to speak so rudely, Jiang Tian would have already killed him. "Get the hell out of here." "Who let you in? Who's your woman?" After a moment of panic, Tang Linglong calmed down. She wrapped a bath towel, stepped forward, and scolded him coldly. Tai Mingfei looked at the big collapsed bed again. How fierce was this? He almost went crazy. The blue veins on his forehead were throbbing. He cursed, "Fuck," the bed collapsed. "Tang Linglong, you bitch, you pretend to be virtuous in front of me every day. I asked you out many times, but you didn't meet me. Who knew that you were so worthless? You bitch." He didn't expect that Tang Linglong would stand on Jiang Tian's side and scold him so firmly. He couldn't help but be angry. He raised his hand and slapped Tang Linglong. "How dare you!" Tang Linglong's face turned cold when she saw him attack. "Pa!" She slapped him, causing the air to explode like firecrackers. Tai Mingfei was sent flying. His nose was bleeding violently, and 3 of his molars flew out. Tai Mingfei thought that Jiang Tian had slept with his fiancée. How could he vent his anger so easily? He got up and rushed to Tang Linglong and punched her fiercely. If the previous slap was just to vent his anger, this time, he was even more methodical. He fully utilized the cultivation of his iron body large success. His punch caused the air to explode, like a cannonball shooting out of a barrel. If it hit an ordinary person, he would be seriously injured, if not killed on the spot. "You don't know what's good for you." Tang Linglong raised her eyebrows. She seemed to be slow but was actually fast. She lightly hit Tai Mingfei's chest with her palm. Whoosh! Tai Mingfei's huge body, which weighed more than 180 kilograms, flew out like a rag doll and hit the wall of the corridor heavily. Even the wall cracked. Puff! Blood seeped out of Tai Mingfei's mouth, and his face was twisted with pain. He didn't know how Tang Linglong had become so powerful that he couldn't gain the upper hand at all. However, he was still angry. How could he give up revenge so easily? He pointed at Jiang Tian and cursed, "Boy, just you wait. How dare you mess with my woman? I'll kill you." He was immediately called by Tai Ming Huang, who complained about Tang Linglong and Jiang Tian's heinous crimes. After all, Tai Ming Huang was a first-tier young master in Yangcheng. He had more tricks up his sleeves than he did. "Cousin, you have to help me vent my anger. My woman has been messed with. If word gets out, how am I going to show my face in the future?" "What? You said the other party is Jiang Tian?" Tai Ming Huang was working in his office. Hearing that, he was scared out of his wits. "You son of a bitch. You're in trouble." "Cousin, what did you say?" "My woman was screwed, and I got into trouble." Tai Mingfei was still confused. Was there any justice in this world? "I don't have time to explain to you now. Apologize to them immediately. Be sincere. Otherwise, I'll skin you alive. After you apologize, you'll be at their mercy. You can't resist." That's someone that even I can't afford to offend. Tai Ming Huang was burning with anxiety. He roared a few times, then hung up the phone and hurried to the hotel. Who is he? Even cousin can't afford to offend him. Tai Mingfei was scared out of his wits. He knew that Tai Ming Huang had always been ruthless. He was obstinate and self-opinionated. There was once a family member who disobeyed him. Tai Ming Huang broke his legs and kicked him out of the family. Although he was confused, he endured the pain and moved to Jiang Tian. He bowed and said, Mr. Jiang, it's my fault. I apologize to you. From now on, you're not allowed to harass Tang Linglong. Otherwise, I'll kill you. Jiang Tian had already put on his clothes. He sat on the sofa and sipped his tea. What did you say? Tai Mingfei couldn't believe it. He looked up and glared at Jiang Tian with hatred. This kid is too arrogant. How dare he threaten me after sleeping with my fiancé? He was a member of the Tai family and Tai Ming Huang's cousin. In Yangcheng, he could do whatever he wanted. Who would dare to offend him? What are you worried about? Seeing that Tai Mingfei was not convinced, Jiang Tian's face darkened. He waved his hand and slapped Tai Mingfei out of the door. He couldn't even stand up. Son of a bitch, how dare you glare at me? Wait for your brother to come and talk to me. Jiang Tian said coldly. Fine. I'll remember this. Sooner or later, I'll pay you back tenfold. Tai Mingfei gritted his teeth and snorted, suppressing his anger. Tai Ming Huang was afraid that there would be a traffic jam on the road, so he took a private helicopter and rushed over. It only took him 10 minutes. He understood what was going on when he saw the scene. Tai Mingfei was still unwilling to give up. He pointed at Jiang Tian and shouted, Big brother, he just hit me again. How dare you point at Master Kong? You want to die? Tai Ming Monarch kicked him in the chest, making him spit out his dinner again. After that, regardless of how Tai Mingfei reacted, he ran up to Jiang Tian like a happy puppy, bowed respectfully, cupped his fist, and said, Greetings, Grandmaster Jiang. This kid is really useless. He offended you. Please forgive him. When Tai Mingfei saw this scene, he was so shocked that his jaw dropped. His cousin was so powerful and domineering in Yangcheng. Why was he so respectful to Tang Linglong's boy toy? If he dares to be so presumptuous in front of me again, I'll kill him. Jiang Tian didn't even look at him as he said indifferently. I understand. Tai Ming Huang nodded like a chicken pecking at rice. His face was full of flattery. He turned around and pointed at the bodyguards. Take this son of a bitch out of here and give him a good beating. Cousin, how can you help an outsider? Tai Mingfei roared and struggled. But Tai Ming Huang didn't even look at him. He just kept nodding and bowing, trying to please Jiang Tian and apologize. While he was apologizing, he sighed in his heart. Mingfei, I'm protecting you. If you stay here any longer, you'll probably be killed by Master Kong. If he wants to kill you, who can stop him in this vast Lingnan? Even Grandpa can't stop him. At 8:00 the next morning, a military armored vehicle appeared in front of the hotel where Jiang Tian was staying. Two people stepped out of the car, a man and a woman. The man was in his 40s, with sharp eyebrows and bright eyes. He was dressed in a military uniform and exuded an air of masculinity. Judging from his epaulette, he was a colonel. The woman was in her early 20s. She had willowy eyebrows, almond-shaped eyes, and a straight nose. Surprisingly, she was also a major. Shu Wei, is this where he lives? Hilton Hotel, you sure know how to enjoy life. The man furrowed his brows as displeasure flashed in his eyes. That's right. Shu Wei didn't say anything and walked toward the hotel. Sergeant Feng was a master of Xing Yi Fist and had reached phenomenal success in internal force cultivation. He was the current head sergeant of War Dragon and had always been arrogant. Shu Wei, I strongly disagree with the General Staff Department's arrangement. What kind of martial arts could a Jianghu man have? He is only 25 years old. What kind of military training does he have? Feng Shiguang furrowed his brows and shouted. According to the information, Master Kong is very powerful. He is the youngest transcendent master in the world and he is only in charge of martial arts training. Shu Wei said. A transcendent master at only 25 years old? That's impossible. Feng Shiguang raised his brows and said angrily, do you know what it means to be a transcendent master? There are less than 30 transcendent masters in Huaxia. He let out a wry smile and said, Shu Wei, you still don't know much about the martial arts world. Yi Zhantian was a prodigy. He had reached the internal force level at the age of 18, but he only reached the transcendent state at the age of 38. According to the information, he came from a medical family. How could he have reached the transcendent state at the age of 25? He had seen Yi Zhantian fight once in a while, and he had been amazed and worshipped by Yi Zhantian. Could it be that this kid was stronger than the #1 martial arts genius, Yi Zhantian? Sergeant Feng, this document was signed by Chao Shixiang himself. How could it be fake? Shu Wei said indignantly. Old man Chao's position is too high and he is too busy to be meticulous. It is possible that he was fooled by his subordinates. Feng Shiguang shook his head and said, of course, his subordinates might be exaggerating, or they might have gotten the information wrong. You know how important martial artists are to the military. If the recommendation is successful, you will be rewarded with military exploits. For the sake of military merit, some people would flatter martial artists when they see them and send them information to ask for military merit. Why would they check carefully? Shu Wei hesitated for a moment after hearing Feng Shiguang's words. Then she said, since we are already here, let's not waste any more time. We will know if he is a martial artist or not when we meet him. While they were talking, the two had arrived at the door. Shu Wei pressed the doorbell and said loudly, Mr. Jiang, we are staff from the General Staff Department and War Dragon. We are here to pick you up. A moment later, the door opened. Jiang Tian said lightly, let's go. Seeing Jiang Tianyan's light posture and delicate face, without any trace of the stern bearing that a martial artist should have, Feng Shiguang could not help but feel even more disappointed. His heart sank. What kind of martial arts is this kid? Isn't it a waste of time to let War Dragon train with him? He followed the rules of martial arts and said, Master Kong, this is Shu Wei, the liaison officer of the General Staff Department. She is responsible for contacting you. I am Feng Shiguang, the head instructor of War Dragon. I heard that Master Kong has reached the transcendent state at such a young age. I would like to learn from you. Fight here. Jiang Tian smiled disdainfully and said, forget it, I am afraid that if I fight, I will tear down this hotel. As he said that, he walked out of the door with his hands behind his back. He did not even look at Feng Shiguang again. This kid is so arrogant. He is just boasting shamelessly. Being ignored by Jiang Tian, Feng Shiguang was so angry that his face turned green. He shook his head in disappointment and thought to himself, martial artists, the stronger their cultivation, the more modest and cautious they are. How can they be as arrogant as him? On the way, Jiang Tian did not even bother to ask about War Dragon's situation. He only curled up lazily in the tall chair. One moment, he would chat with Tang Linglong about entertainment gossip. The next moment, he would video chat with Xiao Xueqing on his mobile phone, flirting with her. His face was full of tenderness and sweetness. Even Shu Wei was slightly disappointed when she saw this. This person doesn't seem like a proper person. He's frivolous, unrestrained, and vulgar to the extreme. Perhaps he really doesn't know the martial Tao. Could it be that the information was really mistaken? Chapter 168. In the northern suburbs of Yangcheng, in the depths of Tiger Subdu Mountain, there was a newly built barracks and training ground hidden in the dense forest. The barracks in the northern suburbs of Yangcheng were still very new. It was not big, but it was surrounded by high-voltage barbed wire. There were radars everywhere, cameras everywhere, and satellite signal jamming devices. There were more than 10 of the latest off-road armored vehicles in the parking lot, and a few Valiant Dragon helicopters and transport planes were parked on the helipad. On the mountain road, there were barricades and barbed wire. On both sides of the mountain road, there was a sentry every 5 steps and a sentry every 10 steps. There were many armed soldiers standing straight with vigilant gazes. They were on high alert and were on high alert. At this time, inside the base, on the cement training ground, there were all kinds of training facilities, but the personnel were clearly divided into 2 groups. More than 50 of them were members of the Battle Dragon Special Forces. They stood there carelessly with disdain on their faces. Some of them were even smoking. The other 80 or so were wearing the uniform of the Fierce Tiger Special Forces from the Lingnan military region. They were all standing straight and neat. Tai Mingfei stood among them. The wound on his face had not completely healed. His face was sickly pale and his forehead was sweating, but he gritted his teeth and held on. Mingfei, the atmosphere in Battle Dragon has always been very relaxed. A member of Battle Dragon said to him, I know you want to get the approval of the instructor to join Battle Dragon, but you don't have to be so nervous. Besides, you're injured. You can rest for a while. No. I want to perform well. Tai Mingfei shook his head. His eyes flashed with passion and determination. Last night, he had been beaten up by Tang Linglong for no reason. He had also been taught a lesson by his cousin, saying how powerful the other party was and that he could not afford to offend them. Tai Mingfei could not understand. What was so great about the Tang family? Why was his cousin so afraid of Tang Linglong and that Jiang guy? He swore to himself that he must pass the test and join Battle Dragon. By then, he would be the king of soldiers in the army. Even the Tang family would not be able to match him. He swore that he would make Tang Linglong kneel in front of him and sing, Conquer. As for that Jiang guy, his cousin said that he was some Master Kong. He was probably some feng shui master or something. When the time came, he would directly cripple him. That bullshit Master Kong is too arrogant, isn't he? He didn't even want to go to the headquarters in Beijing and dragged us to this godforsaken place. Suddenly, a Battle Dragon member shouted impatiently. He was 1 meters tall as a small mountain. His aura was surging and overbearing, and he had a buzz cut. Even though it was early winter, he was still wearing camouflage-colored pants, revealing his bulging bronze-colored muscles. He was full of explosive power and valiant aura, and his pair of bell-like eyes were full of anger. His name was Violent Dragon, and he used to be the captain of the Sharp Blade Squad in the Northwest Military Region. He joined the Battle Dragon Squad after going through many rounds of selection, and he was a true soldier king. His battle record was brilliant, and his military achievements were illustrious. He had once single-handedly taken care of more than a dozen terrorists with a saber. His combat strength was very strong, and he had the cultivation of iron body perfection. Violent Dragon, when he comes, you'll show him who's boss. A few Battle Dragon members laughed and egged him on. Violent Dragon, don't be impulsive. You should know that a soldier's duty is to obey orders, a young man with a fair complexion said in a deep voice. His code name was Fox, and he was the information officer of Battle Dragon. Although he was a technical soldier, he had the cultivation of iron body perfection. Of course I should obey orders. Violent Dragon shrugged and sneered disdainfully, but the superiors don't forbid a normal exchange of pointers. That's right. I heard that the General Staff Department had invited him several times, but they couldn't get him to come. He's so arrogant, he must have some real skills. I heard that he's only in his 20s, and he's the youngest martial arts expert in Huaxia. He must have some skills. That's right, Violent Dragon. It's a rare opportunity for you to exchange pointers with him. You'll definitely learn a lot. Many Battle Dragon members roared with laughter and egged him on enthusiastically. On the surface, they seemed to be flattering Jiang Tian, but in reality, anyone could tell that they didn't believe in Jiang Tian's strength at all. They were all egging Violent Dragon on to show him who was boss. At that moment, a military armored vehicle drove along the mountain path. In the vehicle, Xu Wei was reporting the situation to Jiang Tian. No need. I'm just giving them some pointers on martial arts. I don't need to know too much. Jiang Tian waved his hand. Xu Wei had to stop talking. She wanted to say something but hesitated. In the end, she said softly, Master Kong, the members of Battle Dragon are all elites in the military. It's inevitable that they're arrogant and unruly. When the time comes, please, I know. Jiang Tian nodded. He kissed Xiao Xueqing twice and turned off the video. He said calmly, don't worry, this time, I'll make them obedient. Seeing this, Feng Shiguang's face showed a hint of disdain. He shook his head lightly. You're going to suffer this time, you're going to be in for a treat. He's so arrogant, making us wait for so long. When he comes, I'll beat him to death. Fuck, what the hell is this? At this time, we should be eating in the cafeteria. It was almost noon, and the war dragons were getting impatient. Some of them even began to curse. At that moment, the military armored vehicle stopped. Jiang Tian walked out of the vehicle lazily. Is this guy our martial arts consultant? When everyone saw this, they were all stunned. This kid had a delicate face and looked like a weak scholar. How could he be a martial arts expert? It's you. In the crowd, Tai Mingfei was shocked. He looked at Jiang Tian and Tang Linglong walking side by side in disbelief. You know him? Violent Dragon looked at Tai Mingfei in surprise. I know him. Tai Mingfei gritted his teeth and said coldly, he's just a gigolo. He's relying on Tang Guozhu from the Tang family. Tang Guozhu? Who does he think he is? He's just an old man. His cultivation is only at the peak of iron body. This kid is relying on the Tang family. What skills does he have? He can't even withstand a single blow. Maybe he's the son of a rich family who came here to make himself look good. The martial arts consultant of Battle Dragon is still very important. When he goes back, he can be promoted to a captain or a major immediately. Immediately, many Battle Dragons shook their heads in disdain and made all kinds of guesses. As a special force directly under the General Staff Department, Battle Dragon was much better than the ferocious tigers. As the elites of Battle Dragon, they did not even care about Tang Guozhu. Naturally, they would not care about Jiang Tian. Are you our martial arts consultant? Violent Dragon walked out of the crowd and twisted his neck. His joints made a crisp sound like popping beans. His tall and strong body emitted an arrogant aura. He opened his mouth and said in a simple but ferocious manner, I'm Violent Dragon. I heard that you're very strong. Can I exchange some pointers with you? I'm not going to fight with you. Jiang Tian shook his head. Ha, he's scared. He's a total coward. He doesn't even dare to accept the challenge. How can such a coward be qualified to be our martial arts consultant? Seeing this, everyone was slightly stunned. Then, they pointed at Jiang Tian and mocked him. Isn't that Tang Linglong? Back then, she couldn't even stay in the ferocious tigers. He wants to rely on his status as Tang Linglong's gigolo to become the martial arts consultant of Battle Dragon. Get out. This gigolo isn't even qualified to be a member of the ferocious tigers. How can he be the martial arts consultant of Battle Dragon? How can he? He only knows how to cheat and fish for compliments. This kind of trash isn't qualified to teach us. What martial arts consultant? Pfft, he's worthless. Not only Battle Dragon, but even the warriors of the ferocious tigers could not stand it anymore. Some of them were mocking him while others scolded him. Get out! Tai Mingfei was the first to shout. His eyes were vicious and his face was red with agitation. Get out! Get out! Once someone took the lead, all the warriors immediately exploded and raised their arms to shout. For a moment, the sound of "get out" converged into a torrent, boiling and soaring into the sky. In the crowd, Tai Mingfei was secretly pleased. So many people are against it. Let's see how a gigolo like you can convince the crowd. How can you survive here? At this time, Shu Wei was extremely disappointed with Jiang Tian. She was a little anxious. Instructor Feng, how can we clean up this situation? You have to do something. Feng Shiguang's face was full of mockery. He shook his head and raised his eyebrows. How can I do something? He doesn't have any real ability. What can I do to make the warriors submit to him? There's nothing I can do. I haven't finished speaking yet. What are you in a hurry for? In the face of the crowd's mockery, Jiang Tian's face was calm and composed. He stood with his hands behind his back and smiled faintly. Violent Dragon, I don't want to fight with you because I'm worried that I'll slap you to death. What did you say? I'm a soldier king. How dare you say that to me? Violent Dragon immediately shouted angrily. The blood vessels on his forehead were throbbing. He clenched his fists so tightly that they made cracking sounds, emitting a terrifying murderous aura. Didn't you hear me clearly? Jiang Tian looked at them with a smile and said indifferently, I said that everyone here is trash. You can't even withstand a single blow. Soldier King. You have the nerve to flatter yourselves, fuck. Crazy. He's too damn arrogant. Beat him to death. In an instant, everyone present went crazy. They were the elites of the country, the kings of the soldiers. However, at this moment, they were being evaluated by Jiang Tian in such a way. It was simply unbearable. In an instant, everyone rushed towards Jiang Tian, emitting a terrifying bloodthirsty aura. They rolled up their sleeves and were about to beat Jiang Tian up. What are you doing? If you have any dissatisfaction, you can report it to your superiors. At this moment, Shu Wei was a little worried and tried to stop them. If they beat Jiang Tian to death, it would be difficult to explain. Therefore, she stepped forward and tried to stop the agitated crowd. Get lost. At this moment, Jiang Tian smiled faintly and waved his sleeves leisurely. He only heard a loud bang, like the sound of firecrackers exploding, and a copious and irresistible force madly assaulted him. Everyone felt the howling wind as if they were in the middle of a hurricane. They were thrown off their feet and fell to the ground one after another. In their shaky vision, everyone was shocked to see that. As Jiang Tian's force reached, the military armored vehicle that weighed more than 5 tons 10 meters away spun more than 10 meters high like a spinning top that had been whipped. Fuck, this is. Everyone was horrified. Their eyes were wide open as if they had seen a ghost in broad daylight. Their faces were full of disbelief. With a gentle wave of his sleeves, a military armored vehicle was sent flying. This was like a demon. Star River Break. Jiang Tian's expression was calm as he waved his finger. The demonic flame chi soldier was displayed. A long flaming saber that was 10 meters long swept out like mercury flowing down the ground. Swish! With a bang, the military armored vehicle that could withstand the bombardment of cannonballs was split in half from the middle like a piece of paper. The metal section flashed and was as smooth as a mirror, reflecting the dumbfounded and horrified expressions of everyone. Chapter 169. Boom! Like a thunderclap, the armored vehicle landed heavily on the ground, causing the earth to shake and dust to fly into the air. Then, the whole place fell into a terrifying silence. Everyone looked at Jiang Tian as if they were looking at a god. Their eyes were filled with horror and they were trembling. So, he is Jiang, Master Kong, our instructor. Tai Mingfei suddenly understood something. He was so scared that his face turned pale. His lips trembled crazily and he could not say a word. Too powerful. The muscles at the corner of Violent Dragon's eyes twitched crazily. His eyeballs were about to pop out. He, who worshipped the strong, could not wait to kneel down before Jiang Tian. Is this still the power of a human? Fox was dumbfounded as he muttered to himself. He looked at the armored vehicle that was destroyed by the sword and felt as if he was in a dream. Compared to Master Kong, we are really like ants. Everyone was dumbfounded. They tasted bitterness in their mouths. Everyone's faces were filled with confusion, shock, fear, dejection, disbelief, and all kinds of expressions. That arrogance of a weapon king was shattered by Jiang Tian's light flick of his sleeve, and he was utterly defeated. No wonder he doesn't care about me and my cousin. So, this is what he is relying on. Tai Mingfei's blood turned cold faster than cow dung in winter. His body and mind were completely shrouded in despair. Such a godlike existence, even if he worked hard for 3 lifetimes, he would not be able to catch up with him. Seeing this, Feng Shiguang sighed in his heart and felt a little ashamed. He said with a complicated expression, "Elder Chow is indeed Elder Chow. His eyes are like a torch. This time, he has chosen a god for Zhan Long. I, on the other hand, have eyes but failed to recognize Mount Tai. I can't see his strength at all." Shu Wei's face was filled with shock. She muttered, "Elder Chow has good eyes. I'm afraid Zhan Long will soar to the sky this time. I wonder if everyone here thinks that they are trash. Do you still want to challenge me?" Jiang Tian asked leisurely. His white robe was spotless, like a god descending to the mortal world. We are trash. I don't dare to challenge Master Kong." Violent Dragon opened his mouth with great difficulty. His voice was incomparably hoarse. We are trash. I don't dare challenge Master Kong. Everyone present was afraid that Jiang Tian would flick his sleeves and hit them, so they all scrambled to be the first to shout. I'm so disappointed in you. They thought that Jiang Tian would praise them for being modest and cautious, but they didn't expect that Jiang Tian would shake his head regretfully. What? Everyone was flabbergasted. They were now respectful to Jiang Tian, so how did they provoke Master Kang's dissatisfaction? If you want to become an expert, not only do you need talent, but you also need a heart that thirsts for knowledge and will never give up. What is an expert? That is, someone who knows the gap between them and how weak they are, but still has the heart to surpass others and is full of confidence in becoming stronger. Jiang Tian shook his head disappointedly and said lightly, even if you don't have talent, as long as you use your heart to comprehend and study hard, you will train for 100 days if others train for a day, and there will always be some progress. Jiang Tian had seen many giants and experts in outer space. They had no foundation and didn't even have good cultivation techniques, but they worked hard and broke through the void to create a new world. Many so-called geniuses, if they didn't have the heart of an expert, even if they had the support of an empire, sect, or family's resources, they wouldn't be able to reach the position of immortal emperor or virtuous sage. It could be said that the state of mind was the foundation of cultivation. Whether it was martial arts or spells, it was applicable everywhere. He glanced at everyone and said lightly, if you all think that you are trash, then no one can change your fate. You will always be trash, whether in terms of strength or spirit. I despise all of you. His words made everyone's faces turn red, and they lowered their heads in shame, but their fists gradually clenched. His words were like morning bells and evening drums, waking people from their dreams. A surge of hot blood boiled in their chests, slowly burning, and finally turned into a soaring heroic spirit. Now, tell me, do you really think that you are trash? Jiang Tian asked again. I am not trash. Violent Dragon suddenly straightened his neck, clenched his fists, and shouted loudly, I want to be strong, and I can be strong. We don't want to be trash. We want to be the strongest soldier king and war god, we want to defeat Yi Zhantian, we want to sweep the Huaxiaolong formation. Fox and many soldiers shouted loudly, and some of the soldiers suddenly burst into tears. For many years, they had been suppressed by the Huaxiaolong formation in the martial arts competitions and missions. They had more or less given up on themselves. But at this moment, they were enlightened by Jiang Tian, like a phoenix rising from the ashes, and the heart of a powerhouse was rekindled by Jiang Tian. Very good, don't worry. Not to mention that you have some foundation, even if you are a group of pigs, under my guidance, you will become supreme powerhouses. Jiang Tian nodded with satisfaction. Seeing that everyone was convinced, he issued the first order, Tai Mingfei, get out. Master Kong, I won't go. Master Kong, give me a chance. Master Kong, I want to be strong too. Tai Mingfei's face was full of unwillingness, and hot tears flowed down his face. He struggled with all his might, but he was still dragged out of the team. Then, Jiang Tian excluded 90% of the soldiers in the ferocious Tiger Special Forces, leaving only a few elites with good qualifications. Then, he issued the second order. He raised his hand and pointed at Tang Linglong. Now, all of you, attack my disciple together. Yes. The Tyrannosaurus, the fox, and the many war dragons roared in unison, and then rushed toward Tang Linglong. Little girl, be careful. Violent Dragon took the lead and threw out a punch. Tang Linglong smiled disdainfully, pulled out a wooden sword from her back, and swept it out. Smack! Tang Linglong's wooden sword hit Violent Dragon so hard that he fell to the ground on his back. His nose was bleeding, and he saw stars. I'm not convinced, again. Violent Dragon struggled to get up and rushed toward Tang Linglong again. Swish! The sound of the wooden sword piercing through the air was ear-piercing. Tang Linglong stabbed with her sword. Smack! Violent Dragon was directly sent flying 3 meters away. Smack, smack, smack. Tang Linglong performed the 13 swords of Taishian. She stabbed and swept, mercilessly, dozens of times. In the end, everyone fell to the ground. Get up! Tang Linglong shouted majestically. Although everyone was in pain, they still gritted their teeth and got up, and rushed toward Tang Linglong again. Seeing this, Feng Shiguang and Xu Wei looked at each other and saw the admiration on each other's faces. It could be said that not only was Jiang Tian's cultivation strong, but his combat strength was also surging. His understanding of the essence of martial arts was even more shocking. Instructor Feng, I apply to be reborn and participate in the training with the soldiers. Suddenly, Xu Wei saluted Feng Shiguang and said solemnly. She was also a member of Battle Dragon, but because she was injured during a mission, her cultivation was reduced, and she was sent to the General Staff Department to work as a clerk. But now that she met Jiang Tian, she saw the hope of her own rise again. After the day's training, the entire Battle Dragon's training ground was in an uproar. Everyone was talking about the new martial arts consultant, Master Kong. Why is there such a big commotion in the training ground this morning? Could there be a training accident? Someone pulled Violent Dragon and asked. Ha, my martial arts consultant, Master Kong, waved his sleeve and sent an armored vehicle flying. Violent Dragon munched on a chicken drumstick. His bruised face was swollen like a pig's head, and his eyes could not be seen, but he was proud and proud. You are exaggerating, right? He sent an armored vehicle flying with a wave of his sleeve. Someone came over and said in disbelief. How can it be fake? I saw it with my own eyes, okay? Violent Dragon shook his head and said, he waved his finger, and a chi soldier formed and split the armored vehicle in half. What? He can split an armored car with his true chi. Hearing this, everyone present was stunned. This should be the peak of internal force. Someone muttered to himself, dumbstruck. It's not just the peak of internal force. Beside him, the saber instructor named Zhang Lang shook his head and said respectfully, this is called a martial arts grandmaster. He can cultivate his chi into a gang chi and form a sword with a wave of his sleeve. Even the peak of internal force can't do this. Zhang Lang was known as the Killing Blade. His 5-tiger gate breaking blade was famous in Battle Dragon, and he was also a master of internal force. When he spoke, everyone was convinced. So strong. Isn't he at the same level as Yi Zhantian? Finally, Battle Dragon has a transcendent grandmaster. The cafeteria was in an uproar. Not only them, but the entire base was also in an uproar. Everyone was talking about the new Master Kong. However, in the next few days, the Battle Dragon soldiers went through the most painful and torturous period of their lives. Every day, they were slashed by Tang Linglong's wooden sword until their flesh was torn open. They grimaced in pain and complained incessantly. Some of them even suffered broken bones and tendons. During this process, Jiang Tian didn't teach them a thing or two. All he did was watch from the sidelines. Could it be that we have offended Master Kong and he doesn't want to teach us the real martial arts? After one training session, Fox said worriedly. Sigh, it's all my fault. An expert like Grandmaster Jiang is proud and arrogant, but the moment he came, I wanted to show him who's boss. Wouldn't you be angry if I did that to you? Tyrannical Dragon scratched his head, his face filled with regret and bitterness. It won't happen. The saber instructor, Zhang Lang, shook his head and comforted, Grandmaster Jiang must have his reasons for doing this. You must follow his orders and strictly carry them out. Everyone's faces were filled with suspicion. Was that really the case? Or was Jiang Tian just venting his anger? On this day, everyone was beaten up again. They lay on the ground groaning in pain and couldn't even get up. Do you know why I asked Tang Linglong to beat you? Jiang Tian linked his hands behind his back and asked lightly. Everyone was silent. Jiang Tian pointed at one of the warriors and said in a deep voice, Speak. Because we have offended Master Kong. The soldier named Lu Meng said in a trembling voice. Get out of here and fight Tang Linglong again. Jiang Tian said coldly. Master Kong, Lu Meng lamented in his mind. However, he didn't dare to disobey the order. He had no choice but to step forward with his shield and machete. Slap. 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 Tang Linglong sent Lu Meng flying to the ground with 3 slashes. He didn't have the strength to get up. Tell me, why? If you can't answer, you will be beaten. Jiang Tian pointed at another female soldier. This female warrior was called Qing Tian Tian. She came from a martial arts family and was at the peak of the Iron Body realm. She had a feisty personality, but she was also tenacious. She had been injured 3 times by Tang Linglong, but she still persevered. Chapter 170. Hearing this, a trace of fear appeared on Qing Tiantian's face. She blinked her eyes and said without much confidence, Tang Linglong's every attack was able to break through my flaws. I think Grandmaster Jiang is observing the flaws in our martial arts. For the first time, a gratified smile appeared on Jiang Tian's face. He said, Let me tell you a piece of good news. You guessed it right. Hearing that, everyone was stunned. Then, they frowned and thought hard about the flaws in their martial arts. Very good. From now on, you are the captain of the Battle Dragon Special Forces. Jiang Tian said indifferently, Good. Now it's your turn to fight with me. Ah. Master Kong, I answered your question correctly. Why do I have to fight with you? Moreover, I have to fight with you. Hearing that, Qing Tian Tian was happy at first. Then, her heart suddenly sank. She was so scared that her face turned pale. I'll let you fight with me. I'll teach you personally. That's your honor. Jiang Tian said with a smile. Okay. But, Jiang, Master Kong, can you not hit my face? Qing Tiantian's voice trembled as she begged. It was a woman's nature to love beauty. Even the soldiers of the Battle Dragon Special Forces were no exception. Jiang Tian's strength was too terrifying. Even if he held back, if he hit her face, she would be disfigured. I'll consider it. Jiang Tian smiled faintly. Then, he slapped Qing Tiantian's face. Qing Tiantian used her agility to dodge, but Jiang Tian's palm was like a maggot in a tarsal bone. It hit her face solidly. Cheng Tian screamed. Her face was red and swollen as she fell to the ground. Jiang Tian said indifferently, "Then, do you know where the flaws in your martial arts are?" I don't know." Cheng Tian's palms were sweating. She was really afraid of Jiang Tian. The martial arts you use doesn't have the courage to press forward. You don't have enough courage. Again. Jiang Tian said in a low voice. Cheng Tian got up. She gritted her teeth and preemptively kicked Jiang Tian's carotid artery. Pa! Jiang Tian raised his palm to block and faintly said, "The cutting neck of the military boxing is also mixed with the lateral kick of the 12 steps of Tan Tui. Not bad, but don't be complacent. You're too slow, and your strength is also lacking." In the past 2 days, Jiang Tian had read all the fist and palm techniques that they practiced. He had also watched their past training videos. Time and time again, he found Cheng Tian's flaws and casually gave her pointers. In the end, Cheng Tian persisted for more than 20 rounds before she was beaten to a pulp by Jiang Tian. She fell to the ground and could no longer get up. She could only breathe in but not out. As a reward, Ling Long, take her to the medicinal bath. Jiang Tian ordered indifferently, then raised his hand and pointed at a warrior. "Now, it's your turn. Pa pa pa." This warrior attacked continuously, but Jiang Tian found his flaws time and time again. In the end, he was beaten to the ground and couldn't get up. His calf was fractured. However, after Cheng Tian's pointers, when Jiang Tian was sparring with the warriors, all the warriors paid attention to Jiang Tian's every move. The warriors who were beaten down also memorized their own flaws. The others also tried their best to think about the flaws in their martial arts so that they wouldn't be beaten too badly by Jiang Tian. In the end, all the warriors were beaten to the ground by Jiang Tian, and they also received pointers from Jiang Tian. "Go to the medicinal bath." Jiang Tian smiled faintly and turned to leave. "Rest for 2 days and carefully think about your flaws. I will continue to beat you up." Jiang Tian returned to the barracks and studied the warriors' martial arts information with Feng Shiguang, Xu Wei, and Tang Linglong. Jiang Tian summarized and corrected everyone's martial arts, and Xu Wei entered it into the computer. After doing this, Xu Wei asked a little worriedly, "Master Kong, they are so seriously injured. How are they going to train later?" "Don't worry about their injuries. Desperate times call for desperate measures." Jiang Tian sipped his tea leisurely and said indifferently, "According to my training method, their combat strength will be raised to the long formation level within a month." "What? Raised to the long formation level within a month?" Feng Shiguang and Chao Jianjia were stunned. The long formation selection method and scope were completely different from battle dragons. Zhan Long selected the best of the best from the army and taught them martial arts. On the other hand, the long formation members invited experts from martial arts families and sects to join. Everyone was a famous martial arts master. It could be said that any long formation expert could serve as a martial arts instructor for Battle Dragon. "You don't believe me?" Jiang Tian smiled faintly and said, "Within a month, they will be raised to the level of inner strength martial artists. That medicinal bath is so magical. How did we recover on the same day?" Suddenly, 7 or 8 warriors rushed into the barracks and shouted excitedly. They looked at Jiang Tian with reverence. They were the warriors who were seriously injured during today's training. The light injuries were lacerated, and the serious injuries were broken bones and ruptured internal organs. However, after a night of medicinal bath, all the injuries were healed by the next day. Moreover, they felt that their physique had become stronger. "This is my unique prescription. It is called Tyrant Body Spiritual Liquid." Jiang Tian said indifferently, "Not only does it have a super strong healing effect, it can also strengthen your muscles and bones. It can even strengthen your meridians and acupoints." Within a month, ordinary people will become Iron Body, and Iron Body will be promoted to inner strength. So magical, no wonder Master Kong is so confident. It turns out that he has a secret prescription. Looking at the lively people, Shu Wei and Feng Shiguang were shocked silly. Then, a burst of confidence spontaneously arose. In fact, if Jiang Tian only improved the flaws in their martial arts, it would be difficult to say that their cultivation would be promoted to the level of inner strength. However, with the help of such a magical medicinal bath, it was very possible. Before, they didn't believe Jiang Tian's bold words. However, after seeing this miracle, they had no choice but to believe it. In the next few weeks, Jiang Tian only occasionally went to the training ground to take a look. Most of the time, he was in Linzhou accompanying Zhao Xueqing. Jiang Tian was also ruthlessly beaten by Tang Linglong. Just like Jiang Tian, they were often beaten until their heads were broken and their muscles were broken. However, the more injured the warriors were, the more tyrant body spiritual liquid they absorbed. Not only would there be no sequelae, but their physique would also become stronger. The last day had arrived. Jiang Tian came to the training ground and glanced at the crowd. He smiled with satisfaction and said, "Who dares to challenge me?" "Me." Violent Dragon was the first to speak. His voice was like rolling thunder. However, it was different from the first time they met. At this time, his face was filled with respect and his body was as straight as a javelin. In fact, Violent Dragon's talent was not bad. However, he was also the biggest thorn in the War Dragons. He was proud and arrogant. Previously, he had beaten an instructor away. It was only when he met Jiang Tian that he was enlightened. Like a person waking up from a dream, he realized his shortcomings and the gap between them. These days, he had been diligently studying and practicing according to Jiang Tian's guidance. He had benefited a lot. He also understood Jiang Tian's good intentions. "Very good, it's you who needs a beating again." Jiang Tian smiled and hooked his finger at him. Hearing this, Violent Dragon's face turned red. He then respectfully bowed to Jiang Tian and cupped his fist. "Master Kong, please guide me." This sentence was completely sincere. "Stop talking nonsense and dilly-dallying." Jiang Tian smiled lazily. "Sorry to offend," Violent Dragon roared and then attacked with all his strength. His whole body was like a tank. He rushed toward Jiang Tian and kicked at Jiang Tian. His momentum was like a fierce tiger and dragon. A fierce inner strength broke through the air and exploded in the air, causing the void to become blurry. "Not bad, you've successfully advanced to inner strength." Jiang Tian still had a faint smile on his face, but a kick to the groin had already arrived. Bang! Bam! Violent Dragon immediately fell to the ground and could not get up. He covered his crotch and rolled on the ground. The veins on his forehead were popping and tears were flowing out. "Master Kong, you, Violent Dragon, can you still get married?" Everyone present was in a dilemma. They felt that Jiang Tian's fighting style was too sinister. Jiang Tian said indifferently, "Fighting on the battlefield is ever-changing. There is only one goal, to kill the opponent, regardless of the method. This move of yours seems domineering and fierce, but you don't know how to open the door. Not to mention me, even an ordinary warrior can knock you down if he finds your loophole." Although he said that, he did not show any mercy with his feet. He kicked Tyrannosaurus until he was rolling on the ground. Next, Jiang Tian kicked Violent Dragon out of the circle like a football and then said to the other war dragons. Another warrior jumped out, but he was also slapped by Jiang Tian. He was sent flying to the ground and couldn't get up for a long time. "Your moves are too slow. You have a fancy move. It looks good, but it's not practical." Jiang Tian stomped his foot and broke the kid's leg bone. Just like that, Jiang Tian knocked them down one by one and sent them to the logistics medical center. They were soaked in the medicinal pool and bathed in the medicinal bath. "Sigh, we are really useless. I thought that we had improved a lot in the past month, but I didn't expect that we would still be defeated by Master Kong. Violent Dragon sighed helplessly and dejectedly as he soaked in the dark green medicinal liquid. Yeah, I thought I'd be fine after breaking through to the inner force stage. Who would have thought that Grandmaster Zhang's slap would break my cheekbone? Cheng Tian was wearing a camouflage vest and soaking in the medicinal liquid. She touched her swollen cheeks and said gloomily. As she soaked in the medicinal liquid, waves of powerful medicinal properties entered her body. Her injured parts were recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. Yeah, I'm afraid that we won't be able to catch up to Master Kong for the rest of our lives. Countless war dragons shook their heads and sighed. Their faces were filled with dejection and helplessness. You guys did well. According to my observation, more than 80% of you can use your inner force. Just as everyone was feeling dejected, Jiang Tian walked in lazily with his hands behind his back and said calmly. Master Kong, that's true. But, there's still a big gap between us and you. Fox said with a complicated look in his eyes. In the past month, under the guidance of Jiang Tian and Tang Linglong, they had improved rapidly. Almost all of them had broken through 1 or 2 levels. They had broken through from the early Iron Body stage to the late Iron Body stage. Violent Dragon and the others, who were originally at the peak Iron Body stage, directly stepped into the Inner Force stage. However, compared to Jiang Tian, they could not help but feel a little discouraged. The gap between them was still too big. You want to compete with me? You're really daring. Jiang Tian slapped the back of Fox's head and scolded jokingly, do you know how many Huaxia people have reached my level of cultivation? Yeah, actually, we're already very satisfied to be able to reach today's level of cultivation. Fox scratched the back of his head and said embarrassedly. Ha, we don't even dare to compete with Master Kong. We shouldn't even think about it. Everyone agreed embarrassedly. Jiang Tian's gaze swept across their faces one by one. A hint of kindness appeared on his face. After more than 30 days and nights together, Jiang Tian already had some feelings for them. In the end, he said in an old-fashioned manner, children, training is officially over. I won't be coming again tomorrow. What? As soon as he said that, everyone was stunned on the spot. Their faces were filled with disbelief and they could not accept it. Chapter 171. After spending so much time with Jiang Tian, they were already used to Jiang Tian's existence. They never thought that Jiang Tian would leave so soon. Master Kong, are you leaving? With a splash, the sound of water splashing could be heard. Violent Dragon stood up and said with a trembling body. Yes, all good things must come to an end. My fate with you has come to an end. Jiang Tian looked at him with satisfaction. These days, Violent Dragon's progress was the fastest. Master Kong, can you not leave? Violent Dragon clenched his fists and stood there with his head deeply hooked. Suddenly, he clenched his fists and sobbed silently. Yes, Master Kong, don't go. We can't bear to part with you. All the war dragons stood up together and shouted loudly. Many of them had tears on their faces. Master Kong, don't go, we beg you. You can use any more ruthless way to train us. Cheng Tian cried until she was out of breath. Her tears rolled down and couldn't be wiped clean. Master Kong, is it because our performance didn't satisfy you? We will double our efforts. Fox choked with sobs with a pleading face. Men didn't cry easily, not to mention that they were the toughest group of soldiers in the world. They didn't cry when their bones and tendons were broken during cruel training. They didn't cry when they fought on the battlefield and braved the hail of bullets. They didn't cry when their comrades were injured or even killed in battle. But at this moment, they were all crying and couldn't control their tears. Martial arts cultivation was like rowing a boat against the current. It was too difficult to advance. Many martial artists, even if they were backed by a sect or a family, had the support of a huge amount of cultivation resources. It was considered very lucky to be able to break through a level in 3 to 5 years. However, all of them only took a month to break through. It could be said that this kind of progress was something they didn't even dare to think about. Moreover, they also understood the preciousness of the tyrant body's spiritual liquid. They were afraid that a barrel would cost more than 1 million, and they had used more than 10 barrels in a month. Therefore, no matter how cruel Jiang Tian's training methods were, they were still grateful. Now that they heard that Jiang Tian was leaving, how could they bear it? "I'm just your martial arts consultant, a non-staff member." Jiang Tian smiled faintly. "The agreement with your leader is only for a month, and it's already been a few days. I have to go." That night, Zhan Long held a farewell dinner for Jiang Tian and Tang Linglong. The conditions were very simple and crude. On the cement training ground, there were about 10 tables. Large basins were filled with all kinds of dishes, and army green enamel teacups were filled with lao baigan. The battle dragons were all gathered together. Even Tang Hongtu represented the General Staff Department to attend the farewell banquet. At the farewell banquet, the war dragons drank too much. Many of them shed tears of reluctance. "Master Kong, a teacher for a day is a father for life. No matter how you look at us, in our hearts, you will always be our master." Violent Dragon stood up and said passionately, "From now on, if Master Kong has any orders, as long as Zhan Long can help, everyone will go through water and tread on fire without hesitation." "Yes, Master Kong, just a word from you, even if it's a mountain of swords, we will go up, even if it's a sea of fire, we will wade through it." Many of the war dragons stood up and said with reverence and gratitude. Many of them had tears in their eyes. This was the style of the iron-blooded soldiers. They worshipped the strong and valued relationships and loyalty the most. They had already regarded Jiang Tian as their most important mentor and helpful friend. They raised their wine glasses and shouted at the top of their lungs, "To Master Kong." Their voices were like rolling thunder, soaring to the sky, as if even the stars in the sky were shaken. "Sigh, I've been an instructor in Zhanlong for 3 years, but it's not as good as Master Kang's 1 month of teaching here." Feng Shiguang was deeply moved, and his expression was complicated. He admired and envied Jiang Tian, but more than that, he felt gratified. The war dragons of today were no longer the same as before. Their strength had increased greatly, and they could even compete with the Long formation. More importantly, all the soldiers had the heart of a strong warrior, which would benefit them for the rest of their lives. Isn't that right? I'm so envious. Zhang Lang also nodded in agreement. TSK, do you guys have to have the same ability as him? Shu Wei smiled, and her eyes were full of ridicule. Sigh, to be honest, I didn't expect Master Kang's training to be so effective. From now on, Master Kang can be called the new war god of the army. Tang Hongtu looked at Jiang Tian, who was surrounded by many war dragons like stars surrounding the moon, and let out a long sigh. Halfway through the banquet, Zhang Lang pulled Jiang Tian to a secluded place and whispered, "Master Kang, I have a presumptuous request. Brother Zhang, according to our age, we should be friends of the same generation. You don't have to be so polite." Jiang Tian smiled faintly. He had a good impression of Zhang Lang. This person was simple and honest, and he was obsessed with martial arts. He was known as a saber fanatic. Although he had already reached the level of internal force, he had been diligent in his training. Now, he was not only proficient in one saber technique, but also in many saber techniques such as the 8 Gates Golden Lock Saber, Tai Chi Saber, and Plum Saber. No. You're a master. Even if I'm a few years older than you, you're still my senior in my heart. Zhang Lang was flattered by Jiang Tian's courteous treatment. He quickly cupped his fists respectfully and said, "Master Kang should know about the Martial Arts Alliance conference in a few days, right?" "Yes, I've heard about it." Jiang Tian nodded. I'd like to invite Master Kong to participate in the Martial Arts Alliance Conference as the Zhang family's honorary elder. May the Zhang family hold our heads high. Zhang Lang bowed deeply and said with a pleading face. It turned out that the Zhang family of the Five Tiger Village in Yun State, where Zhang Lang was from, had their eldest brother killed in the arena during the last Martial Arts Alliance Conference. The Zhang family was disgraced and their status plummeted. Over the past 5 years, the Zhang family had been enduring hardships to regain their former glory. However, there was not a single transcendent master in the entire Zhang family. Therefore, Zhang Lang wanted to ask Jiang Tian to act as external help to avenge their humiliation and take revenge. Oh, I see. Forget about the title of honorary elder, but I can still help you hold the fort. Jiang Tian had wanted to go to the Martial Arts Alliance Conference, but he only wanted to look for people with special abilities and find out about the DNV flower. He was not there to fight for supremacy. However, he had a good impression of Zhang Lang, and it would be a piece of cake for him to help out once. Therefore, he agreed. Master Kong, I'll never forget your great kindness. Zhang Lang did not expect Jiang Tian to agree. He could not help but be overjoyed. He kowtowed excitedly. Zhang Lang, is this the Master Kong you wanted to invite? Right at this moment, a voice that was full of energy suddenly shouted out like a great bell. Jiang Tian turned to look. An old man walked over slowly, surrounded by a few young men and women with extraordinary auras. These people were all wearing training clothes, leggings, belts, and long sabers with red tassels on their backs. It was obvious that they were standard martial artists. When Zhang Lang saw the old man walking over, his face immediately showed deep fear and respect. He cupped his fists respectfully and said, "Second Grandpa, you're here. Old leader, you're here. Welcome." Even Xu Wei and Feng Shiguang did not dare to be negligent. They went forward to greet the old man. The old man was in his 60s. His breathing was long and his steps were steady. It was obvious that he was a martial artist. The old man's name was Zhang Wendao. He was the current head of the Five Tiger Village Zhang family, the 12th successor of the Five Tiger Gate breaking saber technique. He was the brother of Zhang Lang's grandfather. He had perfected his inner strength cultivation and was in charge of the family. Moreover, he was worried about Zhang Long's saber instructor, who was quite famous in Hua Xia's martial arts world. Hee, what old leader? I've already retired many years ago. I'm here for some personal matters. Zhang Wendao nodded proudly. Behind him was a pair of young men and women. The man was tall and had an aura like a dragon or tiger. The woman was dressed in training clothes and had a pretty face. Her hair was tied up in a ponytail. They were Zhang Wendao's son and daughter, Zhang Qitian and Zhang Mingli. Seeing that they seemed to have some private matters to discuss with Jiang Tian, Xu Wei, and Feng Shiguang also left politely. At this time, Zhang Wendao glanced at Jiang Tian and showed a bit of disappointment. He said lightly, "This is the martial arts consultant hired by Zhang Long. I don't see anything strange about him. He wants to be our Zhang family's guest." Jiang Tian's concealment skills had reached the stage of perfection. Usually, his sharpness was restrained and his true qi did not leak out at all. He was not like an ordinary martial artist. In Zhang Wendao's eyes, he was just an ordinary person. Zhang Lang was anxious when he heard this and hurriedly said, "Second Grandpa, you must not underestimate Master Kong. Master Kong is a real transcendent master. This is the first time I've seen such a young transcendent master." Transcendent master? Second brother, what are you joking about? As the saying goes, transcendent masters are like dragons. Which transcendent master doesn't have a surging aura like the abyss and the sea? The tall young man behind Zhang Wendao sneered and said, "In my opinion, he is at most the peak of iron body." Zhang Qitian had learned the true skills of Zhang Wendao and had reached the peak of internal force cultivation. In the future, he would be in charge of the family and his strength was stronger than Zhang Lang's. He had been practicing hard for the past few years because he wanted to be the champion in the Martial Arts Alliance conference and make a name for his family. But he didn't expect that Zhang Lang would actually propose to let some bullshit Grandmaster Jiang take his place a few days ago. He, who was proud and arrogant, was already filled with anger. Now that he saw that Jiang Tian was ordinary, how could he not ridicule him? Third brother, be careful with your words. Zhang Lang almost went crazy when he heard this. He frowned and shouted, Master Kong just sent an armored car flying a few days ago and slashed it with a chi weapon. How can his strength be something you can imagine? The Zhang family did not believe him at all. It was impossible for a transcendent master to exist before the age of 30. Forget it, Zhang Lang. Since the Zhang family has not come to an agreement, then let's forget about this. Jiang Tian smiled faintly and walked outside. He had always been indifferent. Seeing that they showed no respect or gratitude, how could he be in the mood to fight for the Zhang family? Master Kong, I am so sorry. Seeing this, Zhang Lang's face was full of regret. He knew that the Zhang family had missed a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. However, his family members were so rude to Jiang Tian. How could he still have the face to beg Jiang Tian? Kid, stop right there. However, Zhang Qitian was not done yet. He pointed at Jiang Tian and said arrogantly, Don't you know that my father is a martial Dao master, a transcendent master of internal force? Don't you know how to kowtow to your senior? Zhang Wendao stood there with his hands behind his back. His face was calm and his eyes were full of arrogance. He seemed to think that it was natural for Jiang Tian to kowtow to him and was waiting for Jiang Tian to kowtow to him. Chapter 172. What kind of senior is he? He doesn't even deserve to be my disciple. Jiang Tian walked lazily as if he was taking a stroll in the park and lightly shook his head in disdain. Brat, you are so arrogant. Are you crazy? How dare you be so disrespectful to our master? Who do you think you are? How dare you boast so shamelessly? Many Zhang family members and disciples shouted one after another. They were so angry that their faces were red and their lungs were about to explode. What is going on? You all dare to insult Master Kong? Are you all crazy? Seeing that Zhang family members were criticizing Jiang Tian, many Battle Dragon members were confused and walked over one after another. Many of them were already furious. Master Kong is indeed an expert. Zhang Qitian's face was extremely gloomy and unsightly. He pointed at Jiang Tian and said proudly, arrogant words, engulfing the sun and the moon. That's fine too, Junior would like to experience your brilliant moves. You are not worthy. Jiang Tian lightly shook his head and said with a disdainful gaze. I am not worthy. Zhang Qitian went into a daze for a moment, then said with a mocking smile, Then, who do you think is qualified to compete with his honor? Could it be that you want my father to personally make a move? He is also not worthy. Jiang Tian lightly shook his head and said with his hands behind his back and a calm expression on his face. What? Brat, you are too arrogant. You have no one in your eyes. Zhang Qitian's expression changed drastically and he clenched his fists in anger. He wished that he could tear Jiang Tian into pieces right now. Brother, why are you being so calculative with him? He is clearly afraid of you and doesn't dare to make a move because he is afraid of losing face. Zhang Mingli's face was filled with ridicule as she resentfully shook her head and said with disdain. Sigh, I am so disappointed. I never thought that after Master retired, Battle Dragon would fall to such a state. That's right, hiring such a coward as a martial arts consultant is simply destroying one's own future. Feng Shiguang, Xu Wei, and the rest of you are still shouting the slogan of building a second long formation. I think that even if you wait another 100 years, you won't be able to beat the long formation. Many members of the Zhang clan only took it that Jiang Tian didn't dare to accept the challenge, and all of them started to ridicule him in disdain. Even Xu Wei and Feng Shiguang were affected. For a time, the sounds of ridicule and reprimand were endless. On the other hand, Jiang Tian picked up a glass of white wine and sipped it silently. It seemed that he had nothing to say and was too ashamed to see anyone. Zhang Qitian also thought so and was no longer angry. Instead, he said with a face full of ridicule, "Brat, you're really arrogant. If my father isn't worthy of fighting with you, then who do you think is?" Huaxia is so big, but there are only a few people. Jiang Tian sipped his wine and smiled. Only someone like Yi Zhantian, the leader of the Long Formation, or Lin Zhenyu, the leader of the Big Circle. What? Yi Zhantian, Lin Zhenyu. The members of the Zhang clan were all stunned. They couldn't believe it and started to bark like wild dogs whose tails had been stepped on. "Brat, do you know what kind of people they are? Lin Zhenyu is the most powerful man in the Big Circle. Yi Zhantian is a rare cultivation genius, the only one in 100 years who has the potential to step into the immortal state in his lifetime. How dare you say that only they are qualified to fight with you? Who do you think you are?" "That's right." Jiang Tian picked up a peanut and slowly removed the red color on his coat. He stuffed it into his mouth and ate it with relish. "Master Kong is so domineering." Hearing this, Shu Wei, Feng Shiguang, Zhang Lang, and the other battle dragons were all shocked. Thinking about how Jiang Tian had swept away the armored vehicle with a wave of his sleeve, they couldn't help but be fascinated and admire him. This guy is boasting shamelessly. He doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. But the members of the Zhang clan didn't see it with their own eyes, so they didn't believe it at all. They only thought that Jiang Tian was talking nonsense. At this time, Zhang Wendao was completely disappointed with Jiang Tian. He shook his head and said, "As a martial artist, the stronger their cultivation, the more they will realize their own shortcomings. He is so arrogant that he doesn't even take the most powerful man in the world seriously. He is obviously a fool who sits in a well and looks at the sky. Why are you talking nonsense with him?" Zhang Qitian slowly unsheathed his treasured saber from behind his back. He pointed the shiny blade at Jiang Tian and grinned, "Such a reckless fool. Today, I will beat him until he knows what a real martial artist is. Kid, draw your sword." The back of this sword was inlaid with purple gold. It was very wide and unusually heavy, but the blade was as thin as a cicada's wing. It was so sharp that it could cut through hair. The lacquer on the hilt was peeling off, exuding a sense of vicissitudes. The Snow Wave golden back sword was made by the Lu clan fort's master, Lu Yezi. Back then, the Zhang clan's ancestors had relied on this sword to kill countless experts and swept through Huaxia's martial arts world. "Master Kong, fight him." Seeing that the other party was repeatedly disrespectful to Jiang Tian, Violent Dragon was so angry that his eyes turned red. He pulled out a sharp machete and handed it to Jiang Tian. "Master Kong. Master Kong, make your move." Many war dragons shouted loudly, unable to tolerate their blasphemy toward Jiang Tian. "Elder Zhang, please stop him. Qitian will definitely be at a disadvantage against Master Kong." Seeing this, Shu Wei and Zhang Lang were anxious and went forward to persuade him. "Hee, old Zhang is too arrogant. Someone should take him down a peg or two." However, Feng Shiguang rubbed his chin and smiled without saying a word. Deep in his eyes, there was a hint of gloating that was hard to detect. War dragons were ace elites, and many of them were eyeing their positions. Feng Shiguang and Zhang Wendao had some conflicts and disagreements. Sure enough, Zhang Wendao was unmoved by the persuasion. He smiled faintly and said, "Shu Wei, in a martial arts competition, don't go overboard. This will improve Master Kong and Qitian." "Hee, you think you are qualified to use a sword?" Jiang Tian pointed at the silk belt on Tang Linglong's waist. The latter quickly took it off and handed it to Jiang Tian. "Kid, you are too arrogant. Die." Seeing this, Zhang Qitian was so angry that he almost went crazy. With a roar, he stomped on the ground with his right foot and rushed toward Jiang Tian like a mad dragon. Everyone was shocked to see that a large part of the ground made of special cement was caved in by Zhang Qitian's stomp. Is this the strength of a phenomenal success inner force? This is terrifying. It was unknown just how many people were sighing in amazement. Their faces became deathly pale, horrified to the extreme. Zhang Qitian held the blade with both hands and hacked at Jiang Tian's head. The long blade carried a gust of wind that made it difficult for people to breathe. White Tiger leaps through the stream. Senior apprentice brother Qi Tian's saber can even break a steel plate. Humph, this kid is dead meat. He underestimated his opponent too much. Even if he was a transcendent state fighter, he would still be killed by this attack, not to mention that he was only at the peak of the iron body state. Yeah, that's the Snow Wave Golden Back Blade. It can even break through a Grandmaster's true Qi defense. Many members of the Zhang family's Five Tigers sect-breaking saber sect looked at Zhang Qitian with admiration and admiration. They despised Jiang Tian. In their eyes, Jiang Tian was as good as dead. Well, this kid has already grasped the essence of the Five Tiger sect blade. Even Zhang Wendao nodded approvingly as a pleased smile appeared on his face. But before his smile could fully blossom, it suddenly froze on his face, and he could no longer smile. Under everyone's shocked gaze, Jiang Tian cracked a smile and raised the ribbon in his hand. Puff! Jiang Tian swung it down. At this moment, the ribbon was infused with Jiang Tian's abundant Jin Yuan, and actually became perfectly straight, becoming the sharpest saber in the world. The blade's sharpness was indescribable. It was as if Pan Gu had split open Hung Meng with a giant axe and created a new universe. Shit! Zhang Wendao and the others' faces paled as they shouted. They wanted to save Zhang Qitian, but it was too late. Zhang Qitian also felt the sharp blade qi and was alarmed. However, he only had enough time to raise the blade above his head to block the attack. Kacha! A crisp crack sounded. The heirloom of the Zhang family, the Snow Wave Golden Back Blade made by a Grandmaster, broke like a piece of paper. The ribbon in Jiang Tian's hand didn't lose its momentum, but it smashed onto Zhang Qitian's shoulder. Zhang Qitian only felt an irresistible force as if Mount Tai was pressing down on his shoulder. He fell to the ground like a toad with blood flowing out of his 7 orifices and passed out instantly. The cement ground cracked with his palms and knees as the center, spreading like a spider web. It was a shocking sight. Jiang Tian, you're so cruel. Zhang Mingli and many other members of the Zhang family screamed as they pointed at Jiang Tian and shouted angrily. Zhang Qiming was their most respected senior brother, and in the future, he was even expected to step into the master realm and become a seated candidate to take charge of the family. However, at this moment, he was actually severely injured by Jiang Tian to the point of fainting. Master Kong won. So beautiful. Meanwhile, the members of Battle Dragon cheered as if they had been injected with chicken blood. Master Kong is so powerful. That was an instant kill. Even Xu Wei and Feng Shiguang were shocked. They had expected Zhang Qitian to lose, but they didn't expect him to lose so miserably. He couldn't even withstand one attack. What is this? You guys are so ignorant. My master can even kill a transcendent master. Tang Linglong was already used to Jiang Tian's strength. She curled her lips and did not find it strange at all. She thought to herself that her master had dominated the Shinong school and killed many transcendent masters. Shut up. However, Zhang Wendao was so scared that his face turned pale. He pointed at a group of disciples and shouted at them. Jiang Tian infused his true essence into the ribbon and turned it into a peerless divine weapon. He had reached the transcendent master realm and was able to injure his enemies with a single blow. A transcendent master should never be humiliated. If these disciples dared to offend Jiang Tian, there was nothing they could do if Jiang Tian killed them on the spot. Everyone was dumbfounded. They pouted their lips and kept quiet. Zhang Wendao took a deep breath and forcefully restrained his surging state of mind, then he cupped his fists respectfully towards Jiang Tian and said, "Looks like this old man's eyes are blurry and didn't recognize Daoist's appearance. Grandmaster Jiang is definitely worthy of being called a martial arts grandmaster. Don't you hate me for hurting your son?" Jiang Tian cracked a smile and asked curiously. Zhang Wendao's face flashed with regret and anger, but he quickly covered it up. He cupped his fist and bowed respectfully. Others might not see it clearly, but this old man can still see it clearly. Master Kong changed his attack at the last moment. He purposely suppressed the power of his attack. If you had killed him directly, my son would have died. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.